Yeah, but we only led her to, they're actually all three victims in the indictment. We just led to one victim. What did you call it?
Then it's only one, technically. So you'll need to either choose which one you want, or either it's just the victim.
Okay.
Sure.
Okay.
Oh, Deputy Lord, did somebody come in and fix the computer because now this screen is on? Or maybe it just happened magically. All right, I'm going to call the docket. When I call the docket, please let me know you are here. In custody, we have Priscilla Joyce Gonzalez, Santos Rodriguez, Guillermo Constancio, Sylvester Ortiz, Susan Robledo, Jaime Lozano, Michael Christopher Lucio, Patrick Vargas, Roberto Mendoza Perez. Roberto Mendoza Perez. Well, I mean, answer the docket. When I call your name, you got to stand up and say you're here. Otherwise, a warrant's going to be issued for your arrest. Do you understand? Sean Branch, custody. Von Skirvin. Thank you. Michael Durand. Eduardo Guardo. And Deputy Laura, I know I mispronounced that. I know I didn't roll my arm, working on it. Christopher Cantu, custody. Tyrone Shepard. Thank you. Jan Torres Rivera, custody. Robert Grant. Danny Gaeta. Angel Parata. And these are all for 11 o'clock. So if they're not here, court understands. April Gonzalez. All right, thank you. Larry Foster. Carlos Vasquez is out in the hallway with his attorney. Celestino Garcia. Alexander Castro. Mary Diaz is in custody.
She's here, Judge.
All right, thank you. All right, Richard Whitney. All right, we'll take that up. Thomas Toledo. Thank you. Alfredo Garza. John Rodriguez. All right, is there anyone here whose name was not called? Yes, what's your name? What? The last name? All right, do you know who your attorney is?
Yes.
Who is it? Shannon Locke. All right, just have a seat and we'll get with you. All right, anyone else whose name was not called or you came in late? All right, somebody doesn't want to come in. Are they dressed inappropriately for court? Oh, no, that's not appropriate dress for court. We're not going to a club today. You need to put on a jacket.
You're gonna go see who that is?
Yes, and tell her she needs to cover up. All right, these are the rules of the 187 District Court. On this side, we have the files for criminal trial division. On this side, we have the files for family violence. Attorneys, just grab your file. If you'll place it on the table The state will confer with you. Do not approach the court if you have not conferred with the state and conferred with your client. If your client is in custody, you need to have your client called out. We do not do anything when clients are in the back unless they're out in the courtroom. Do not approach the coordinator for a reset, for a continuance. I'm the only person who can do that. It's hazy outside, which means you don't have to water the grass as much. So that's a good thing. It's probably going to end up raining today, hopefully, because I have new grass down. So hopefully it rains. Everyone, let's be kind to each other. Let's put some patience in the pocket, take it out as needed. As I always say, guys, I know in those suit jackets, you have the hidden pocket on the inside, so you have extra patience. So use it. Everyone, please confer. Mary Diaz.
The rain is not good if you have an outdoor activity plan.
What's the outdoor activity plan?
Not saying that I do, but if you were a person that had an outdoor activity plan, would be good for that.
Well, it depends. If that's an outdoor activity plan that you really don't want to happen, then it's great. But if it's a child's birthday and you didn't plan for indoor activities.
Some people like playing golf.
Oh, I watched this
I'm not saying
movie.
I am.
I watched this movie called American Dreamer, which is with Jo Beth Williams and Tom Conte. It's a good movie. It's set in the 80s. And so this lady said, I love my husband. He was a little bit crazy. She's like, once he chained himself to a tree in a lightning storm and dared the lightning to strike him. And then Jo Beth Karras is like, and what happened? She's like, I am now a widow. So if you're planning on golfing, you can play in the rain as long as there's no lightning.
I am not. I've got a lot of work to do this afternoon.
Okay, well, you stick with that story. All right, so today an offer is due.
Right. I believe Ms. Mitchell tendered an offer prior to council.
She did, Judge, a couple of days ago in an off docket capacity. Her and I conferred. I actually haven't talked to Ms. Diaz about it, but I think the court is going to give us a new date to come back. I would like to confer with Mr. Bonk, who I believe is still out of town. I'm not sure when he's.
Yes, he sent me a photo of him enjoying beignets
Yes,
at Cafe Dumont,
he's living his best life as usual.
the place that doesn't have real hot chocolate. It's Carnation. I'm a connoisseur of hot chocolate. It's Carnation.
I've had it. I didn't know that. Interesting.
You can tell the difference that they didn't make that in-house.
No, my daughter's got it. I drink Cafe LA, but they got that and I sampled it and I didn't pick up on it.
All right, so I'm going to recall this for a plea deadline date. It's going to be a quick turnaround because this case has been going on forever. And so we are coming back next week. Ms. Ferguson, put this on the 18th. And I think Mr. Bonk should be back by then.
Should.
You can only do so much of New Orleans,
Yeah, I agree.
or as they say, Nolans.
2-3 days for me.
So we're going to come back on the 18th. At that time, you need to let the court know whether or not you're accepting the state's offer. If you choose not to accept the state's offer, of course, that's completely up to you. But there's going to be a quick turnaround for jury trial. This has been on the docket for far too long.
Okay.
All right. Ms. Ferguson will give you a reset.
That's a pretty bad. Yes. Okay. But the docket. So, okay, so he's good? Yes. I thought, but it did say that that is the third person. Appreciate it. Yeah. Application for.
Yes, sir.
Is your head a lot of bottom?
Caroline. Who's here on Thomas Toledo? Hello. All right, so what are we here for on Mr. Toledo?
I think it's for Heather.
Oh, yes, it is. All right, Mr. Toledo. We are here because a new case has been alleged to have been committed by you. It's a driving while intoxicated. So I don't know anything about that case. I'm not going to ask you about that case. But what I am going to ask you, is there an alcohol problem with you?
I don't have a problem. I was at Fiesta. I was at Fiesta and I was on my 10 and I was on my phone. So the cop said I was like in and out of lanes. So that's why he
Okay.
stopped me.
Okay. So here's the thing. I'm going to continue you then with the same conditions, but don't come back for a new offense. You understand?
I do. Yes.
I always tell people doing Fiesta, you know, the easiest thing to do is walk, take the via bus. I think they do a discount during Fiesta or either do an Uber. Uber probably would have appreciated that extra money.
Yeah.
And now you're going to have to pay extra money for the new offense. All right. We're going to see you back on June 1st. All right. Thank you. Thank you. Who's here on Eduardo Guarda? All right, so what's due today is the discovery acknowledgement and an offer. So has that been tendered?
So Judge, we spoke, we've been trying to reach because defense gave us an affidavit from one of the witnesses. It was contradictory to what he said. At least we've been trying to contact him. As far as I can tell from synopsis, we have been successful. He is a Spanish speaker, so I don't And I know that there's been a few phone numbers listed.
All right. So do you have can you get in contact with this witness that you want the state to hear?
Our witness is an English speaker. Byron, your complaining witness is a Spanish speaker. So that's
Okay,
probably
I got confused there. for a second.
because I was also under the impression the complaining witness was not breached.
So who do you need to speak to, state?
Just the witness that provided the affidavit.
All right. So why don't you all step outside? Can you call
Definitely try.
all right. So let's do that. And maybe this can solve this today.
Okay.
All right. Thanks.
Thank you.
Richard Whitney. All right. And where's Whitney?
Call Your Honor. Last Monday, it was a deadline for him to accept or reject the offer, and never had a chance to confer with him over the evidence except briefly before court one time. He missed 2 appointments and he increasingly became more and more aggressive with me. Culminated into the Thursday before last Monday and a great deal of vulgarity. Your
All right.
Honor.
So Ms. Ferguson, has a warrant supposed to have been issued for Mr. Whitney? Has there been a warrant issued?
Yes, Your Honor, for both cases.
All right. So with regards to your motion to withdraw, as soon as he's picked up, we'll take over your motion to withdraw.
Thank you, Your Honor.
You're welcome. You're excused.
Thank you, ma'am. It just confused me.
Oh, I do recognize Robert Maurer's voice.
Well, it's because it's so melodic.
We're gonna have to get you, you and Cornelius are gonna have to share an office.
Well, nobody would want to actually share office with me. Although I'm very pleasant to work for, is what I tell my employees. It's consensual for a contestant. It's for a contestant like on the 16th or 17th. Yeah, this is his original court date. We had him here on Tuesday. We had a bond hearing, and then it's set for a contestant. 16th or 17th.
No, I still have them set for today. No, let's see if it's Wisconsin. And it's the-
That's, yeah.
Mm, basically,
No, she took, it's set for a contestant.
Someone's ready. Thank you. All right, who's here for Carlos Vasquez? Good morning. Court's calling 2023 CR 3391, State of Texas versus Carlos Vasquez. Could I have parties announced for the record for the state?
Travis Banks, the state of Texas.
Defense.
Mr. Vasquez, Your Honor.
Are you Mr. Vasquez?
Yes, Your Honor.
Counsel, have you received all the discovery? Did you review it with your client?
Did, Your Honor.
Court will find that the state is in compliance with discovery. Mr. Vasquez, I'm showing you what's entitled application for deferred adjudication or community supervision. Did you review that with your attorney? Did you understand it? Did you sign it?
Yes, Your Honor.
Showing you what's entitled true bill of indictment. Did you review that with your attorney?
Yes, Your Honor.
Counsel, do you waive the reading of the indictment?
We do, Your Honor.
State, are you proceeding on the indictment as presented?
Yes.
All right, showing you what's entitled court admonishments. Did you review that document with your attorney? Did you understand it?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. State is proceeding on a solicitation of prostitution or other payer as a state jail felony. The range of punishment is anywhere from 180 days up to 2 years in the state jail facility and up to a $10,000 fine. Did you understand? You need to take that hat off. If you have a plea bargain agreement with the state, the court does not have to follow your plea. If for any reason the court doesn't follow your plea and gives you more than you bargained for, the fact that you entered a plea will not be used against you and you will be allowed to withdraw your plea. Did you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
You're going to need to speak up.
Yes, Your Honor.
Did you understand you have a right to jury trial, a right for you or your attorney to cross-examine and confront any witnesses the state would call in the right to remain silent?
Yes, Your Honor.
Did you understand by entering this plea bargain agreement, you were giving up those rights?
Yes, Your Honor.
Did you intend to give up those rights and enter into a plea in this case?
Yes, Your Honor.
Did you understand that the court would grant your application for deferred adjudication? If for any reason your deferred adjudication were revoked, the court could find you guilty and sentence you up to 2 years in the state jail facility and up to a $10,000 fine?
Yes, Your Honor.
Counsel, has your client been able to provide you with any defenses?
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you believe he has a rational as well as a factual understanding of the charges against him?
He does, Your Honor.
Do you believe he's currently competent and was legally sane at the time of the offense?
Do, Your Honor.
Mr. Vasquez, has anyone threatened you, coerced you, or placed you in fear to get you to enter this plea?
No.
Has anyone promised you anything other than the plea?
No, Your Honor.
Are you satisfied with the way you've been represented?
Yes, Your Honor.
Are you a U.S. citizen?
Yes, Your Honor.
Court will find that defendant has knowingly and voluntarily waived his right to jury trial, showing you the plea bargain page. Did you review that with your attorney? Did you understand it?
Yes, Your Honor.
According to the plea, it's a $500 fine. State recommends deferred adjudication and the AIDS awareness course. Did you understand that to be the plea?
Yes, Your Honor.
Defense?
Yes, Your Honor.
State?
Yes, Your Honor.
Showing you the paragraph entitled waiver of appeal paragraph. Did you review that paragraph with your attorney? Did you understand it? Did you sign it in both places?
Yes, Your Honor.
Did you understand by signing that you're waiving your right to appeal? The only items that cannot be appealed, the only items that can be appealed are written pretrial motions that have been filed, heard, and ruled upon by the court. Did you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
Counsel, have there been any such motions?
Yes, Your Honor.
Next, I'm showing you outside the plea bargain agreement. State is requesting community supervision for a term of 2 years, 60 hours of community service restitution. And I cannot read this person's last name that there's to be no contact with. I understand the first name is Madison.
Let me get the spelling for you.
Your Honor, I believe it's Corren.
I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
Correa, Your Honor. I apologize.
All right, and no contact with Madison Correa. Did you understand those recommendations from the state, and the court does not have to follow those recommendations?
Yes, Your Honor.
Then to the offense's charge, how do you plead? Guilty, not guilty, or no contest?
I think there may be some confusion between the state and defense about our, I think we may need to confer just for a moment.
Okay, sure. Yes. Bashan, are you ready on someone?
Give me a couple minutes. I mean, Your Honor, I should be ready.
Okay, thank you. Do y'all need the plea paperwork back?
I think we may need to have that.
Here you are.
Well, I don't know if you'll need it.
Judge, we just have one more set.
That plea is gonna stay the same, it's just there's another plea that's.
Okay, all right, thank you. All right, Danny Gaeta. And thanks for putting everything in on here. See, and you do it twice. You put it here, then it's in the file, so it's like judge can't say she doesn't have it. All right, let me see what's going on here. All right, Mr. Gaeta. All right, do you know what you're on probation for?
Yes. 2 cases that was on probation for.
All right, do you know the range of punishment? What you're looking at?
No, ma'am.
All right, you're looking up to 10 years in prison. So you have to ask yourself something. And the reason why I'm asking, telling you need to ask yourself something, because it appears that we've tried treatment with you. You need to ask yourself whether marijuana is so important to you that it's worth potentially going to prison for 10 years. Because it appears to me that you're not really trying to remain clean and sober for marijuana. Because what I'm looking at, I have a dilute in August. Then in September, it's negative. Then in October, it's positive. Then November positive. Then January positive. I mean, it appears that you want to go to prison.
No, Your Honor.
Then why are you behaving as though you want to go to prison? Because it seems that your default position is, when in doubt, use marijuana. If I've had a bad day, use marijuana. If I've had a good day, use marijuana. Why are you continuing to use? Because here in Texas, marijuana is not legal. And you will go to prison if you continue to violate, or I should say, you have a potential of going to prison if you continue to violate the rules that I've set down for you.
Understood.
So when's the last time you used marijuana? And you need to be honest with the court.
I believe it was like a week and a half ago.
Well, not I believe. You know when you last used. Did you use yesterday?
No, ma'am.
So when's the last time you used?
About a week ago.
And why are you using marijuana?
I guess it's like you said, I have a bad day, possibly.
And what kind of bad day are you having? Is it a bad day where you're going to prison? That type of bad day? Because to me, that's a bad day. I'm going to prison. So what is going on with you? What bad day are you having?
Maybe just work, overworking.
Well, a lot of people overwork, but they don't turn towards marijuana. I see people doing other things because they're trying to stay up so they can overwork. How old are you?
25.
All right. I don't know what's wrong with young people these days where your default is always well, I wouldn't say for a majority, but for some that I have in here, young people, your default seems to be, let me do whatever makes me feel good in the moment, instead of thinking past that moment and how it's going to impact your life. So I don't understand how you overwork so you use marijuana. Walk me through it.
Believe I could just leave something relaxing. But
Read a book. I'm reading a book right now. I still have 30 pages to go. You know what? I was so tired from yesterday. I didn't even get to read these 30 pages. I still do not know who committed the crime in death by committee. 30 pages left. I'm waiting to read the next book in the cozy mystery, and I can't. Because you know what I do when I'm overworked? I end up going to bed, going to sleep. Because I'm tired. I'm going to sleep. Didn't even get to have dinner. Just went to bed. And just as a side note, was it painful to put that jewelry in your cheek?
it was, yeah, actually.
So why do it?
I thought it looked cool.
Is it real? How do you take it out? If you take it out, will there just be a hole in your cheek?
There would be like a screw, it's something you screw on. So it's
Are you able to unscrew it yourself?
No,
You have to get a professional to do that?
yeah, like a piercer, yeah.
How much would it cost to go back to a professional and have that removed?
Not too sure.
All right. That's a way to have repeat customers. You put something in them and you're the only person who can remove it. All right. So probation, what do you all recommend for him?
Your Honor, the recommendation is to amend conditions for intensive outpatient treatment, do weekly urinalysis for 60 days, 30, 60 days.
And then it says on here something about closed interest on restitution matter.
Yes, Your Honor, the restitution was ordered to be investigated and letters were sent out to the victims. And the letters, there has been no response to the letters. The letters were sent out on October 31st of 2021 and then August 22nd of 2022.
All right, so this is what we're gonna do. We'll close the interest on the restitution matter because people have tried to reach them. I'm going to want the weekly UAs, he's going to be tested for levels. If those levels rise, a motion to revoke is going to be filed. If he becomes clean, then I'm going to want the UA hotline until further notice. It needs to be tested at least once a week. I'm going to want IOP. And how much time? Oh, he has. Oh, and then do a referral to felony drug court. From here on out, when you are tired and you're like, oh, I'm tired, instead of eating a salad or drinking some chamomile tea, I'm going to do marijuana. You need to ask yourself, could this potentially result in me going to prison for 10 years? Is marijuana worth it? And I do know from clients I've had in the past, there's a lot of things that you can make at the jail. Marijuana is not one of them. So there's nothing that you can make at a jail. You're not going to get away with growing a marijuana plant. You understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, you had better do better. Otherwise, a motion to revoke is going to be entered. What's going to end up happening is they're going to arrest you. You're either going to come in like you are today in civilian clothing, or either they're going to bring you over from the Bexar County Jail. Do you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
You're going to have to do better. And you need to get a sponsor. So when you ever feel like you are going to use marijuana, you need to be around people to say, don't do that. You could go to jail or prison, as opposed to people, your friends saying, oh yeah, let's do this. You understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
All
Your
right.
Honor,
Yes.
I would say that he was instructed to attend sober support meetings, but they're indicating they don't have anything on file.
All right. You're going to 90 meetings in 90 days. If you don't show up for that, again, a motion to revoke is going to happen. And there are sober meetings all over this county and all over the state of Texas. And when you feel like you're too tired and you just want to do marijuana, go to a sober meeting. And you can't be too tired. It takes a lot to do marijuana. You got to roll it. Do they now make it where you don't roll it anymore? I think you got to roll it unless you buy it already rolled. Then you got to light it. And sometimes my understanding, it doesn't light on the first try. I've never done any drugs. This is just what I've seen from watching, I don't know, New Jack City or something. So that takes a lot of work. It's not like you just walk into the refrigerator and take an alcohol, and you're not allowed to use alcohol either. You understand?
Yes, Your
All right, do better. And you don't have any children, do you?
Honor. I do not.
All right, that's a good thing. You're not ready. All right, probation is going to go over new conditions with you.
Good morning. Oh, yeah. I get all your feelings.
Who's here? Michael Duran. All right. If you'll come forward.
Want to kindergarten?
Hello.
Good morning.
Good morning. All right, today is the plea deadline date. So what is happening?
We do not have an agreement, Your Honor.
All right. State, how long you expect this jury trial to last?
2 to 3 days, Your Honor.
All right, Ms. Ferguson, I need a jury trial date For family violence, 2 days. You have a giant stack of papers there. Is that a
Yes, I
novel
was
that's
loading
being?
the printer,
Oh,
right before I approached her.
I was like, is that a novel being written?
It's all blank.
Yeah, okay. All right, so we're going to come back on June 20th for a jury trial. All right, thank you. Your plea deadline date is expired. What, oh, you can go ahead and load the printer. What that means is that the court will not accept any plea bargain agreements without good cause. If you wish to plea, you have to plea open to the court. Do you understand? Yes, all right.
Thank you, Judge.
You're welcome. Ms. Ferguson, if you'll give them the reset form.
Maybe it's later the zone is getting worse. What is that? Yeah.
Okay, so somebody explain this to me. Norma, why would you have committees for judges and you don't even ask the judges what their skill set is? You just put them on committees that have nothing to do with anything that they're involved in.
Oh, here it is.
Yeah, for one. Yeah, because somebody cut.
Yeah.
So then you want part two.
Hi, Mr. Cox, welcome back. Oh, were you able to get your client's watch?
Not yet. My YouTube audience is clamoring, they say, call them with a cliffhanger. So they're clamoring for the results of work. So I told that, I hope there's a part two, because they say all of a sudden the video was cut off. So they're hanging on the cliff, they don't know what.
There will be a part two.
Well, please, I would appreciate that.
There will be a part two.
That's all I get on. All these things online. We're hanging, we don't know what happened.
We will make sure that they receive a part two on Mr. Wilson. Oh, Mr. Cox, you have something on your, I don't know if there's a,
Did a lot?
oh, it's off.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. As long as it's not live. Oh, okay. Oh, that chip, I guess. Bye, see you.
Do you have something with us, Mr. Cox?
Yes. That's all needed.
We had so much fun over the last couple of years.
Yeah. Well, because you and Mr. Mauer are usually here. Y'all have your office back there. Yes.
Thank you.
Let's ask the passion. Yeah.
All right, good seeing you, Mr. Cox.
Should have it done.
On
All right, Christopher Cantu. And where's Mr. Cantu? All right, and what is up with today with people coming in dressed inappropriately, wearing shirts open almost to the navel like this is the 70s? Would you tell the person in the cowboy shirt to please button up his shirt? Nobody needs to see that. All right, so we're here for CPS.
Records, yes, Judge. Yes, we did receive those, and we have made counsel where that we have them. I do have a protective order, Judge, so that we can have those 10 to the council.
Right, so that's the last item for discovery.
Yes.
my understanding.
All right, so I need a discovery acknowledgement sign.
In addition, we did tender an offer to council today. I believe he's gonna need time to discuss that with his client.
All right, how old are you, sir?
46.
46?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, Ms. Ferguson. On this case, we're gonna call this back for a plea deadline date for next week. Yes. So we'll be back on the 18th. On the 18th, you need to let the court know whether or not you're accepting the state's offer. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
After that date, the court will not consider any offers without good cause. Otherwise, you have to plead open to the court. Do you understand?
Yes.
All right. If counsel, you sign the discovery acknowledgement and then you are excused.
Thank you, Judge.
You're welcome. Are we ready on Eduardo Guairo? Yeah, I know I keep mispronouncing it. The R's get me every time.
last time.
All right, so did you have a chance to speak to?
I did, Judge. I mean, what he gave us, it means that I have to go look back at the case and look back at the video and the statements that were given.
Mhm.
Just because he did affirm what he put in his affidavit.
Okay. All right, Ms. Ferguson, on this case, recall this back on the 18th,
Thanks, Judge.
and Ms. Ferguson will give you a reset form.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And hopefully by then I will learn how to pronounce that name. Oh, I'm sorry. Let me write something down. Oh, Robert, if you have any clients, I just received this email saying that they are doing free dental. So it's cleaning and extraction for free.
Where? The dental school?
No. It's not actually, no, it's
You can do
not.
that. I have a buddy, he said that, like, when you have to do your dental examination, you bring your own patient with you. Which
What?
you've got to be, like, you have to bring somebody in to do the exam. It's got to be some brave.
Yeah, no, I'm not coming for that.
Mm-mm.
But if you know any attorneys or anybody who knows anyone, just let me know. I'm going to forward this to you. So if you can give it to other attorneys if they have clients. All right. Jaime Lozano, Jamie Lozano.
Judge, it's a plea of true with no agreement.
Okay. Court is calling 2022 CR 9151W, State of Texas versus Jamie Lozano. Could I have parties announced for the record for the state?
Jason Garahan, Your Honor.
Robert Mauer for defendant.
And are you Jamie Lozano?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, I'm going to show you what's entitled Motion to Revoke Community Supervision. Did you review that with your attorney? Did you understand it? Are you the same Jamie Lozano who was placed on community supervision in 2022 CR 9151W for the offense of burglary of a building with intent to commit theft on September 23rd, 2022 for a term of 2 years? Is that you?
Yes, ma'am.
State?
Yes, Your Honor. Violated condition number 2, on or about the 19th day of October 2022 in Bexar County, Texas. The defendant, Jamie Lozano, did then and there illegally use a controlled substance, namely methamphetamine, in violation of condition number 2.
All right, and I'm so sorry. Could you repeat that so that probation can hear?
Oh, sure. Violated condition number 2.
Everyone, please whisper. Thank you.
Violated condition number 2, on or about the 19th day of October 2022 in Bexar County, Texas. The defendant, Jamie Lozano, did then and there illegally use a controlled substance, namely methamphetamine, in violation of condition number 2.
How do you plead to that? True or not true?
Your Honor, we'll waive your remaining violated conditions.
Any objections to the waivers?
No, Your Honor.
All right, did you understand by pleading true to violation of condition number 2, court could find it true, grant the motion, and sentence you up to 2 years in the state jail facility and up to a $500 fine? Knowing that, do you still wish to plead true to violation of condition number 2? Court will find violation of condition number 2 true. Is there an agreement?
No, there's not, Your Honor.
All right, state, what are you requesting?
The state is in agreement with probation recommendation, alternate amending, continuing the individual on probation and as having to attend SATF with aftercare. In lieu of that, if the court does not agree with that, revocation at that point.
All right, defense, what are you requesting?
Judge, I spoke with Ms. Lozano about the state's recommendation. Her request is that she be allowed to continue on probation and do outpatient treatment. She says she's clean now. And she is trying to be able to take care of her 15-year-old child, and I'll let her speak on her behalf if it's okay with you, Judge.
All right, you want to raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear affirm the testimony you give will be the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, you can lower your hand, state your name for the record.
Jamie Lozano.
All right, so your counsel is telling me that you want to be in outpatient treatment because you want to take care of your child?
Yeah, I'll do outpatient. I've been sober.
Well, no. I want you to listen to my question. Your attorney says that you want to be out so you can take care of your child.
Yes.
Here's my problem with that statement. Everyone here knows, including your attorney knows, I always ask people if they have children.
Yes.
And obviously you told me you did not. You know how I know you told me you didn't have any children? Because I didn't request parenting classes. And it's not listed on this sheet anywhere where I requested parenting. Now, if another judge would have sentenced you, then I could understand. So when your attorney says you're sober, what's your drug of choice?
I used meth with my ex.
Meth and what else?
That was it.
So when's the last time you used before being taken into custody?
Whenever I was with him back in December 24th, whenever I left him. And he hit me. He hit me on December 24th and he had me locked in a hotel room. When he got out of prison.
All right, so he was in prison?
Yes, he was.
So why did you get back with him?
He didn't. He came and got me whenever he got out because I had changed my number and left him.
All right. So I will tell you right now, some of what you're telling me, I do not believe. This is what I know. I know that people, when they are in the throes of their addiction, they tell great stories. And those stories are so believable. Like I know people who are using drugs, they could tell a story that the moon is made of blue cheese and they would have you believe in it. They will say, well, I just ate some yesterday because it fell down. And you're like, oh my gosh, is the moon really made of blue cheese? Here are your choices. You can either do inpatient treatment or you can go to SATA. I'm sorry, you can go to SATA or either you can do 2 years in the state jail facility because you have a drug problem and you would not be a good parent to a child at this point in your life because you're not clean and sober.
I've been sober. I was sober before that too.
Yeah. I'm giving you choices. Here's your first choice. You can go into inpatient treatment, get help for your drug problem, or you can go to prison for 2 years. And that's the state jail facility. Either way, whether you go to SATA to try to better yourself and become a clean and sober and a good parent, or either you go to the state jail facility for 2 years, time is going to pass. And this person that you're with, are they the father of the 15-year-old?
No, he's back in prison already. He got.
No, you're not listening to my question. Is he the father of the 15-year-old?
No, he's not.
Did you meet him before or after you had the 15-year-old?
I met him afterwards.
All right. So I don't know why you would bring this type of person into your child's life. This 15-year-old, is it a girl or a boy?
It's a boy.
All right. I don't know why you would bring this person into a 15-year-old's life. When you have children, guess what? Children have to come first because they can't fend for themselves.
I understand.
So where's the 15-year-old now?
I'm not sure if he's still in juvenile for fighting, for being young or not.
So you're saying your 15-year-old beat you up?
Yes.
All right, there's a whole host of issues going on here. Mr. Mauer, are you aware that she's saying her 15-year-old beat her up?
Judge, any conversation would be attorney-client privilege.
Yeah.
I cannot reveal any such conversation if in fact it took place.
All right, thank you, Mr. Mauer. So here is my question for you. So is this juvenile, your child, in juvenile because they beat you up? Is that what you're saying?
Yes. He has his dad beat me up for 8 years. And
He has what?
his dad beat me up for 8 years and I got really bad PTSD. And then I left him for 9 years and he's had a hard life. That's my son because his dad's not in his life. He's angry.
and I homeschooled him, and he's attacked my parents twice, and he was on probation, and they think that he smoked
How far
something
did you go in school?
to college,
How much college?
a year and a half.
I don't understand people who think they can homeschool people.
I had my boyfriend has 2 master's degrees in teaching.
I'm sorry, what?
My ex-boyfriend before that has 2 master's degrees in teaching, and my son was very traumatized from his dad watching me get beat up and hit me with the car and different things like that. That homeschooling became something whenever I had left that really 9 years of abuse, that we did homeschooling for a while. Then my son was going to public school, and he got his phone stolen, and that's what caused a lot of the anger issues that he's had for 2 years. And he has attacked my mom, my dad, and me. And now he's he asked for help this last time when he beat me up that day.
Your story is all over the place.
I have to live it, ma'am.
Well, I mean, no, it's as though we're on Calabria and you're taking me on,
I'm just
you know, Highway 120 and stuff.
Judge, would you consider a psych eval?
Yes, I will.
That may be warranted under the circumstances. This,
PTSD really bad.
I just have some concerns based.
The conversation that we're
Yes,
having.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, so this is what we'll do. We will do a evaluation. Ms. Ferguson, can you refer her for a psychological? I'm sorry, what?
I don't take meds. I've been diagnosed and everything.
What have you been diagnosed with?
With severe PTSD and anxiety, and my disability.
On disability for mental health issues?
Yeah, that's for my anxiety and stuff. I was in a abusive relationship for 9 years with his dad. And then I've been away from him for 9 years. This December will be 9 years.
All right. Is there anything else?
No, Judge,
I just
not at
want-
this time.
All right, so this is what we're going to do. We will have her evaluated for competency, Ms. Ferguson, and probation. I know if she is incompetent, it wouldn't do, probably wouldn't do well to do the MIC, but could you see about MIC evaluation anyway?
My office, the facility, right?
Yes,
Could we do a MIOP evaluation?
Yes.
That may be more
I recommend
appropriate, or the ISF diagnosis.
all right, could we do the MIC MIOF evaluation for her? All right, and what we'll do is, even though she's pled true to violation to number 2, when we come back for another hearing, if she still wishes to plead true to number 2, she can still plead true to number 2. But for now, counsel, are you asking that her plea of true be withdrawn?
At this time, yes.
Any objections? All right, is there anything else that you need from the court?
I just want to go home to hear my son. And I don't have a bond or nothing.
All right, so what's going to end up happening is you're going to be evaluated. It's probably not in your best interest. If what you're telling me is true about your son, then you're in no condition to parent him, and he is probably in no condition to be parented. And if he is in a juvenile facility, that means that Child Protective Services is involved because he doesn't have a parent to pick him up. So,
I live with my parents.
okay. Well, they're not picking him up, obviously, if he's still in juvenile, and maybe they're not releasing him. I have no idea what his charges are. I'm sure your counsel doesn't have any idea what his charges are, and your counsel doesn't represent him. But what I'm telling you, in your best interest, I'm going to allow that the plea of true to number 2 be withdrawn without objection from the state and with a request from the defense. You're going to be evaluated by a doctor. When the doctor comes to see you, your attorney will let you know what type of questions they will be asking. But I am going to put in a MIC MILF evaluation as well, so the court can have options.
A probation officer told me that I had to not show up so that I could get a new probation officer.
Okay. All right, Ms. Ferguson, what date should we come back?
June 22nd.
All right, so we'll be back on June 22nd. If there is results before then we'll let your attorney know and you'll come back before then.
Thank you, Judge.
You're welcome. Norma, you never know how the day will take you. Okay, thank you for this. Yes. And those are done. All right, who's here on Alexander Castro? All right, thank you. So my understanding, we're here for discovery. All discovery is done.
I believe so, Your Honor. We
All right.
picked up a large external hard drive.
All right, so I need a discovery acknowledgement signed today. And then state, were you able to tender an offer?
Judge, we did not tender an offer to defense counsel. Defense and I have spoken, and at this time, because they just received such a large amount of evidence last week, they prefer to review some of that before I were to make an offer.
Because right now we are in a position, we couldn't evaluate properly for our client a plea offer at this point.
All right,
Literally hours and hours and hours of videos and reports.
all right, Ms. Ferguson. Can you put this on July 6th? All right, at that time, everyone needs to make an offer.
Yes, ma'am.
And I'm noting that I'm giving you extra time
Yes, ma'am.
to review everything and state for you to review everything for there to be an offer.
Understood, Judge.
Thank you, Judge.
All right, make sure the discovery is signed and Ms. Ferguson will give you a reset. Thanks for dressing appropriately for court. All right, thank you. Did Mr. Mauer leave? Does he need to speak with his client? Okay, all right, thank you.
So he's retained on board, right?
Norma, can you see if Robert can come back? Santos Rodriguez.
Bruce Griffin from Mr. Rodriguez.
All right. State, have you reviewed the PSI on Santos Rodriguez?
Yes.
All right, the court is calling 2022 CR 10959, State of Texas versus Santos Rodriguez. Can I have parties announced for the record for the state?
Daniel Escobar for the state of Texas.
Defense?
Chris Griffin from Mr. Rodriguez.
Are you Mr. Rodriguez?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, you entered a plea of guilty, and we're here. The court requested that a TAP evaluation be done and also a PSI report. Have both parties reviewed the PSI report, state,
Yes, Judge.
defense?
Yes, ma'am.
Any objections?
No, ma'am.
No.
According to the plea bargaining agreement, punishment is to be assessed at 1 year in the state jail facility, and the state is opposing your application. State, do you have any witnesses?
No, Judge.
All right, defense, any witnesses?
Just allocution, Judge.
All right, defense, you may proceed.
Your Honor, with this offense, Mr. Rodriguez was made contact with police because he was riding a bicycle without lights in the evening. He consented to a search. Checkbooks were found in his backpack. Further investigation by SAPD revealed that a completely separate individual, a Dave Thomas, who I'm assuming is not associated with Wendy's, had actually taken those checks to the HEB parking lot that Mr. Rodriguez had found the checkbook in, and that he had cashed those checks. Fingerprints verified that, video verified that a Dave Thomas was cashing these checks. It was not Mr. Rodriguez. At the time, Mr. Rodriguez was homeless. He was having substance abuse issues. Since that time, Judge, he's wanting to make changes in his life because the largest change between then and now is that his girlfriend, ex-girlfriend currently, is pregnant with his first child. He wants to be there for his child. He wants to make a change in his life. He's spoken with his mother. He's able to live at his mother's home. His mother is elderly. His brother passed away in March. His sister is in the military and has 4
years
Four
left
more
in
years.
Kansas.
on her contract at the base she's at in Kansas. He has spoken with, it's right, Steve and Sons. I keep wanting to say Dave and Sons.
Yes,
Steve
Dave
and
and
Sons
Sons.
doors.
Excuse me. It can't be two people speaking at the same time. If you want to talk, you have to be placed under oath. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, defense.
There's also another company off of 34th Street that his mother has spoken to that he could get employment with them as well. And lastly, Gunnar, I would just point out that the PSI revealed that Mr. Thomas, the individual who actually cashed these checks and was involved with that, he received 3 months, 10 days in state jail. Just if your honor was interested in comparative sentencing.
All right, anything from the state?
Judge, just that he has had several cases where he has been given the opportunity. Back in 2017, he was given the opportunity for 2 years deferred on a possession less than a gram. He got revoked on that, was sentenced to a year in the state jail facility. In 2018, he was sentenced to 8 months in the state jail facility.
Court reporter says she can't hear you.
Sorry about that. He's been given opportunities previously to be on deferred adjudication, and he was not able to successfully complete that deferred adjudication. The state is asking for 12 months in state jail.
Okay. All right. Is there anything you wish to say, Mr. Rodriguez?
Yes,
Can you raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you give will be the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
yes, ma'am.
All right, you can lower your hand.
I actually did my sentence he said 2017. I was still in jail in 2017. I didn't get out till 2018.
All right, so I want you to focus on why I shouldn't just send you to the state jail facility. That's what I want to focus on. The state wants you to go to the state jail facility because they're saying you're not a good candidate for probation. So my question for you is, why shouldn't I just send you to the state jail facility?
And I've been clean since I've been in here, and I was clean 4 months prior. I've been trying to better my life. I actually went into many changes. My brother just recently passed away, and I gotta be there for my mom.
Why do you just know that you need to be there for your mom now that,
because-
excuse me,
I'm sorry.
why are you just realizing you need to be there for your mom when you were in the free world and you were not doing anything to be there for your mom?
Because I'm having a child now, and I did my first. I didn't really know what she was going through, what she did. She did a lot for me, and I didn't really pay attention.
So I'm going to give you a choice. You can either go to the state jail facility for a year, or you can go into inpatient treatment. And that's what's being recommended for you. So which do you prefer? Do you want to do the state jail facility time of 1 year, or do you want to have probation and go into inpatient treatment?
I'll take the inpatient treatment now.
Okay. All right, this is what the court will do. The court will sentence you to 1 year in the state jail facility, suspended and probated for 2 years. There's a $500 fine that will be probated. 200 hours of community service restitution. I'm going to want parenting classes with Triple P. Once he completes parenting classes, then the community service hours will be deemed to be satisfied. Regular reporting by Zoom or in person. The UA hotline upon release. I'm going to want SATF referral. Well, he's already approved for SATF, so we're going to do SATF. And we can do a referral to felony drug court as well. He's to remain in custody until transfer to SATA or felony drug court. Upon release, I'm going to want field visits one time per month, and probation if he's accepted into felony drug court, or of course, whatever felony drug court conditions have, then that's what they'll have. Proof of employment within 30 days of release. There's to be no employment as a home health care provider or with minors. Probation, is there anything that he needs? Anything else? Is there anything else you need from the court in order to be successful?
Oh, man.
All right, I'm going to show you what's entitled Trial Court Certification of Defendant's Right to Appeal. Did you review that with your attorney? Did you understand it and did you sign it?
Yes, ma'am.
Because this is a plea bargaining agreement, because I followed your plea bargaining agreement, and because you waived your right to appeal, you do not have the court's permission to appeal. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Because this is a felony conviction, you're not allowed to own or possess any weapons or ammunition. If you have a question over what a weapon or ammunition is, you'll need to speak to an attorney. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, we can go off the record. You have a child that's coming into this world. You have elderly parents. You're going to have to start making better decisions. If you are not going to be a parent that this child can be proud of or look up to and want to imitate, then do not bother being in that child's life. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
All right.
Actually, with the money that we're gonna be getting from my brother's accidental death, I just actually used my cut for open a nonprofit organization in his memory to help people.
All right. Good for you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, who's here on Priscilla Joyce Gonzalez? All right, on Priscilla Joyce Gonzalez, have all parties had a chance to review the PSI report?
Yes.
All right, court is calling 2022 CR 9680, State of Texas versus Priscilla Joyce Gonzalez. Can I have parties announced for the record for the state?
Lindsay Shaw for the state.
Defense?
Christine McDonald for Priscilla Gonzalez.
Are you Miss Gonzalez?
Yes, ma'am.
Have both parties had a chance to review the PSI report, state?
Yes, Your Honor.
Defense?
Yes, Your Honor.
Any objections to the PSI report, state?
No, ma'am.
Defense?
No, Your Honor.
All right. According to the according to the plea, punishments be assessed at a cap of 13 years in the prison. You entered a plea to aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. The state is opposing your application. And defense, any witnesses?
Judge, I have one. And if I could just get some exhibits to please.
Okay. No, I mean, the state will go first, but I'm just wondering if you have witnesses.
Well, possibly two is my client.
All right. State, do you have any witnesses? All right. And Ms. Abrams, if you'd like to go over conditions with them, you can because they have witnesses. All right, state, call your first witness.
Calls Ruth Turner.
Ruth Turner.
Give me a second.
Ms. Turner, do you need to be seated to have a seat? All right, can you use that chair there, please? Or- All right, Ms. Turner, I'm gonna ask that you keep your voice up so that the court reporter can hear. Can you raise your right hand for me, please? Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you give will be the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God? All right. All right, you can lower your hand. Can you state your name for the record?
Ruth E. Turner.
All right, state.
Good morning, Ms. Turner. Ms. Turner, I want to start out by asking you, where do you live?
In Broadnex, Virginia,
And how long have you lived there?
probably now about 20 years.
Okay. And back in July, the specific day, let's see, was I'm sure you can tell me the specific date, but let's
The
see,
19th.
July 19th of 2022. Were you in San Antonio, Texas?
Yes,
Why were you in San Antonio?
to celebrate our niece's 16th birthday.
And who all came with you to San Antonio?
My husband Frank, Deva, and myself.
Okay.
Yeah, I have to be able to breathe.
All right, if you just give her the microphone.
Right.
She's going to repeat it just a second. Thank you. That's okay. All right, and if you'll just speak into the microphone, then she'll be able to hear. All right, state.
And so you said your husband Frank and your niece David Turner.
Yes.
Do you recall on July 19th, 2022, when you were assaulted, and we're gonna get to that, but how long had you been in San Antonio before that day?
We arrived on Sunday, so we've been here. This was our third day.
Okay, so only your third day in San Antonio.
Yes.
And so do you remember that day well?
Oh, yes.
So let's talk about that day. What had you done that morning?
We had gotten on the bus to take a tour of the city. We stayed on the bus for two complete tours. And I needed to go to the restroom.
Okay, so at some point you got off the tour bus,
Yes,
and did you go to River Center Mall?
yes,
And did Frank and David go with you as well?
yes, we were all together.
Okay, and which restroom did you go to?
We went to the lower level because it was the first one I saw, and at my age, I can't tarry very long.
And Ms. Turner, how old are you
I'm 76 now,
Okay.
I'm 75 family.
at the time? Okay,
Yes.
so once you, do you recall when you went to the restroom, were there other people using the restroom at the time?
No, there was no one in there except me.
At what point did you see the defendant come in the restroom?
I was washing my hands at the sink.
And when you first saw her, what did she do?
She barely glanced at me. I smiled, but no words were spoken.
So no words between you or her were exchanged.
No.
And at some point, did she begin assaulting you?
Yes, yes,
Okay, attacking you.
attacking me
And
from
ha-
behind.
Okay, so I want you to walk the judge through that. How did it begin?
I felt severe pain around my scalp and my neck. And suddenly I was being thrown into the floor. I had
So-
sandals on, so I really lost my balance very quickly.
So when she began attacking you, was she stabbing you?
Yes,
Okay, and where was she stabbing you?
in the back of my head in the beginning, but once I was on the floor and she was on top of me, the stabbings were primarily in my neck and around my ears.
Okay, so she began stabbing you in the back of your neck and your head,
Yes,
and then she pushed you to the ground.
yes,
And once she got you to the ground, did she get on top of you?
yes.
How was she on top of you?
She was straddled me like a horse with her knees at my sides.
And she continued to stab you while she was on top of you.
Yes,
And did she ever say anything to you?
no.
What did you say?
I
did you
asked
do?
her why she was doing this to me, and I started screaming for help. I noticed on the walls of the bathroom blood splatter, so I put my left hand on my jugular carotid and tried to finger off with my right hand.
How'd you know to do that?
I was an RN.
And at some point, did your niece Deva come into the bathroom?
Yes,
Okay. And once she came into the bathroom, was the defendant still stabbing you?
she had drawn the knife up by her right ear. And it had to be a God thing because the only thing I could think of was to utter, "Father, forgive her, for she doesn't know what she's doing." And it was like a freeze frame. She froze in place.
And when David came to the bathroom, what happened?
Dava saw what was happening very instantaneously, took out her knife and stabbed my assailant in her back.
And once David did that, did the attack end?
On me, yes.
Did she then try to go after Dava and your husband Frank?
Yes, she instantly got off of me and from that point on, the relief on my person was immediately taken away.
And I want to show you some pictures, Ms. Turner. Now, you've looked at these pictures today, but this morning, correct?
Correct.
And if we start with states exhibits number 2, 3, and 4. You've seen these pictures today, is that right?
Correct.
And they're a fair and accurate depiction of the scene of that day and how it happened. And they've not been altered, correct?
Correct.
At this time, the state would offer states exhibits 2, 3, and 4 into evidence pending objection. May I tender to the court, Judge?
Yes. So states 2, 3, and 4 are admitted without objection.
So, Ms. Turner, after the attack stopped, were you taken to the hospital?
Yes.
And can you tell the court what injuries you sustained?
I was diagnosed with having at least 10 stab wounds. My inferior jugular was severed. There was numerous nerve endings that were severed. 24 hours afterward, I went into a traumatic atrial fibrillation, which meant I had to be put on blood thinners and a beta blocker. The blood thinner alone is over $500 a month. So far, I think I am in normal sinus rhythm, but I don't go see a cardiologist until the 18th of May.
And you also had your right earlobe was severed? Is that
Yes.
right? And that had to be sewn back together?
Yes,
And you also sustained broken ribs, is that right?
on both sides, yes.
And are you still, as far as your wounds, they have healed? We can see that you still have scars from those. Is that what we can see on your neck today?
Yes, yes,
And do you even to this day experience pain from your wounds?
yes.
What kind of pain is that?
It's primarily any touching sensation of my ears and parts of my neck. I have no sensation of hot or cold on my neck, only pressure.
Okay, and then I guess I'll go ahead and show you states exhibits 5, 6, 7, and 8. Are these also pictures you have reviewed before testifying today?
Yes,
And are they pictures of you in the hospital
yes, at Brook Army.
before and after you received medical attention or in surgery, right? Have they been altered in any way?
No,
At this time, I'd also offer states exhibit 5, 6, 7, and 8 into evidence pending objection.
Objection, Your Honor.
May I tender to the court, Your Honor?
Yes.
Offer into evidence and tender.
Right, states exhibits 5, 6, 7, and 8 are admitted without objection.
Ms. Turner, after all this happened, you had to go through a 4-hour surgery, is that right? Have you had to have follow-up treatments and surgeries since this happened?
I've had follow-up treatments for this.
What kind of treatments have you had to go through?
I've had to have an echo to make sure that the jugular had no problems as far as obstructions within. I've had a cardiovascular surgeon check me. I've had a cardiologist check me and my primary care physician, make sure my medications are proper.
And Ms. Turner, how has this affected your life? How has this changed you? How has this impacted you?
Unfortunately, I'm now an elderly person. Prior to, I was vibrant, active, socially engaging. Now I find that I'm just old.
And have you seen changes in Dava as well? Have you seen her have to struggle through this?
Absolutely.
And
yes.
your husband Frank as well? And Ms. Turner, lastly, I'd like to ask you, what would you like to see happen to Ms. Gonzalez for what she did to you?
I've prayed about this a lot, and I would sincerely pray that the Lord work in her life, and that she will come in contact with somebody that will introduce her to Jesus and let her know that God loves her and can give her peace and comfort that nobody on planet Earth can. And I would like justice to prevail.
Would you like to see her go to prison? And I know that that's a hard question, but do you feel that she is someone who should be out free in the community?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
I'll pass the witness.
Yes.
Have any of your loved ones ever suffered from any type of mental health illness?
Yes, our niece has had issues with depression.
What about schizophrenia?
She's never been diagnosed with, and none of my family has.
And you said that you work in the medical profession,
Yes,
so you're familiar with what kind of symptoms someone with that diagnosis would have, right?
yes.
Would you agree that people with that sort of diagnosis need help?
Oh, absolutely,
They need treatment?
absolutely.
Absolutely.
All right, any other questions?
No, ma'am.
All right. I will tell you this, San Antonio is a nice place with nice people. I'm so sorry that your trip here ended that way. All right, thank you for coming in.
Just get the spelling of your niece's first name. D-A-B-A.
All right, state any other witnesses?
Judge, may I just have one moment? I'm going to confirm.
Sure.
The state's going to call David Turner.
All right, so just so everyone can know, I've read the police report and I've read the stipulations. All right, you can come forward. Can you raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you give will be the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God? All right, you're gonna have to speak up.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, state your name for the record.
David Turner.
All right, state.
David, I just want to ask you a couple of questions, okay? And mainly I want to focus on how this has impacted your own mom, Ruth Turner. How have you seen, how did this change Ruth? How have you seen changes in her?
First off, she's a very religious person, and I thank God that she has deepened her faith and is so grateful for what God has done in her life. Second, she's a very hardworking woman. And after this attack, she no longer had that sort of spirit in her. And that pains me probably the most.
And has it also been hard for you to cope with the effects of this attack and what happened?
Yes. I've been ridiculed at school for being the person who stabs people. I've had my PTSD come back. I've had flashbacks. I still hear screams at night. It's hard.
Is there anything else you want to tell this court?
I don't think a person like this should be let out back in the community because we're not even from here. And
for someone to do that to someone who's just coming here for family vacation shouldn't be put out in the community for her to harm other people.
Thank you, David. No further questions.
Any questions? All right, thank you. State, call your next witness.
We have no more witnesses, Judge.
All right, defense, do you have any witnesses?
Your Honor, I'd like to call, social worker, Ms. Marisol Morales.
Ms. Morales, if you'll come forward, please. Can you raise your right hand for me? Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you give will be the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God? All right, you can lower your hand if you'll state your name for the record, please.
Marisol Morales.
All right, just make sure you keep your voice up so the court reporter can hear. Defense?
Your Honor, before I begin with testimony, I'd like to put Defense Exhibit 1, 2, and 3 into evidence. These are medical records. Well, Defense Exhibit 1 is medical records, a CD of medical records from Methodist Specialty. Defense Exhibit 2 is a CD of medical records from Laurel Ridge Treatment Center. And Defense Exhibit 3 is medical records from UHS. Your Honor, these have been filed via business record affidavit and have been on file for an excess of 14 days. They have also been tendered to the state.
All right, any objection?
No, Judge.
Your Honor, I'd like to publish some printouts of these records to the court. I've labeled them.
All right, defense exhibits 1, 2, and 3 are admitted without objection.
Judge, if I could publish to the court. Defense Exhibit 1A, which is printouts from the Methodist Specialty CD, Judge.
Any objection?
No, Judge.
I've tendered these as well to the state judge. Defense Exhibit 2B, I'm sorry, excuse me, 2A, 2B, and 2C. They're printouts from Laurel Ridge Treatment Center. And finally, Judge, Defense Exhibit 3A is printouts from the UHS records. Judge.
All right, any objections?
No, Your Honor.
All right, then, without objections, defense 1A, 2A, 2B, 2C, and 3A are admitted into evidence. You may proceed.
Ms. Morales, can you show the court how you're currently employed?
I am the licensed master social worker for the public defender's office.
And how long have you worked with us?
Approximately 4 years.
What's your educational background?
I have a master's of social work with a direct practice in mental health and substance misuse.
And what additional training have you had in the area of social work?
I have specific training in human behavior and social environment, brain and behavior. I have approximately 150 hours of training in trauma, family systems, polyvictimization, child physical and sexual abuse. I am also a certified trauma professional, and I'm also a licensed chemical dependency counselor.
And have you testified as an expert before in this county?
I have.
And as a social worker, what do you normally do?
I conduct psychosocial assessments on clients, give my diagnostic impressions, treatment recommendations.
Your Honor, at this time, I'd like to designate Ms. Morales as an expert in the area of mental health social work.
State.
No objection.
All right. You may proceed.
Thank you. Ms. Morales, are you familiar with my client?
I am.
Can you tell, how are you familiar with it?
I have been meeting with Ms. Gonzalez for over the course of almost a year.
And what are the purpose of your sessions with my client?
She put together her psychosocial history, looking at her background, gathering medical records to determine what's been going on in her life.
And can you please tell this court what she's been diagnosed with?
Schizophrenia.
And can you please tell the court what kind of symptoms go along with this sort of diagnosis?
Schizophrenia is most marked by delusions, hallucinations, disorganized thinking, illogical thought processes, paranoia. is also another large symptom.
And can those symptoms be managed with medication?
Yes,
Have you had an opportunity to go over mental health records that relate to my client?
yes.
What records did you review?
I reviewed Laurel Ridge, University Health Systems, Methodist Specialty, and Nick's Hospital.
And from reviewing those records, how many times has my client been hospitalized for mental health in the past 5 years?
Approximately 5 to 7 times.
I want to begin with Methodist Specialty. Can you tell me, when was Priscilla admitted to Methodist Specialty?
She was admitted June 11th, 2018.
And do you know why she was admitted?
I believe here she was emergency detained.
Okay, and do you know what type of symptoms she was exhibiting at the time?
Paranoia, and that people were threatening to harm her.
Do
And people threatening to harm her.
you know from reviewing the records if he was ever physically restrained at Methodist?
He was.
Was she exhibiting aggressive behavior there?
He was.
Did anything else stick out to you about those records?
For Methodist Specialty, she was admitted on June 11th, 2018, and she was discharged on 7/24/2018. And consistently through the daily progress notes, it's noted that her insight was poor.
I want to pause you right there. Can you explain to the court what lack of insight means?
All right, and so just so all parties know, I'm extremely familiar with the mental health terminology. I used to do a lot of work with mental health issues. So, counsel, if you wish to continue to ask, you can, but I'm aware of it. I'm aware of schizophrenia and the symptoms for schizophrenia, but it's your witness.
Yes, there's just specific things I want to
Sure.
point out to the court.
No
if you don't
problem.
mind.
Could you repeat the question?
Well, can you, let me ask you this, lack of insight, is that a symptom of mental health?
Yes,
Was there a plan to have Priscilla admitted to San Antonio State Hospital during her Methodist Specialty Hospital stay?
yes, that was a recommendation upon her discharge.
And was she ever committed to Satchel there?
No, she was not.
Do the records indicate why the physicians decided not to civilly commit her?
No, there were no notations.
What did the doctors ultimately do upon discharge?
They recommended that she participate in what is called AOT, a sort of outpatient treatment.
And someone who's lacking insight because of their diagnosis, can they be expected to understand the necessity of following up with treatment?
No, lack of insight is sometimes confused with being in denial of your diagnosis, or you're being stubborn, or but lack of insight means that you do not understand that you are ill. And upon her discharge, she was given an appointment and set to go, even though the doctor noted on her discharge that her insight was poor.
I want to move on to Laurel Ridge Treatment Center. Did you have an opportunity to review those records?
Yes,
And does Laurel Ridge have different levels of observation for their patients?
yes,
And I've handed the court a copy of those records. Can you show the court where it states Priscilla's level of observation?
that would be on the shift nursing assessment. Over on the left-hand bottom corner, level of observation.
What was her level of observation?
To be seen and monitored every 15 minutes.
Is that the highest level?
Yes, it is.
And what's the date of that assessment?
This would be a couple of days before her discharge, 9/15/18.
And what was her date of discharge?
9/18/2019.
And on,
Oh, I'm sorry. It was, her discharge date is 2019. Sorry.
And on the nursing note. Does the nurse indicate that she is still symptomatic?
Yes,
Can you point out that to the court?
that would be on the second page in the bottom, behavioral. The box that's checked off is psychosis. Laughing to self, staff noticed. Talking to self, upset after phone call. But not able to maintain. But
Is that-
able to maintain.
Okay, now, if I can turn your attention to the physician progress note from the Laurel Ridge Treatment Center documents. What sticks out to you about this?
The most important thing that stuck out to me here was that her insight was still fair. I mean, she's been in the hospital for, I think, 25 days. And she's still symptomatic. And the doctor's still noting that she lacks insight.
And that physician progress note, was that taken on the date of discharge?
Yes, 9/18/19.
Okay, and at the date of discharge, was Laurel Ridge still observing my client on their highest level of observation?
Yeah.
Okay, so upon the date of discharge, that facility still felt that my client needed to be monitored every 15 minutes.
Correct.
If someone, and just to be clear, there's other options other than just if someone is still exhibiting these types of behaviors, right?
Yes.
Okay. And Laurel Ridge didn't utilize any of their other options.
No. Even though she was symptomatic, they discharged her.
Did you have the opportunity to review medical records from NICS?
I did.
Do you know the date of admit for NICS?
1/18/19.
For NICS?
1/18/19. Yes. For the admit date. That was noted on the UHS records, yes.
Okay. And do you know why she was admitted to NICS?
I believe that she was also emergency detained for bizarre behavior.
All right, everyone, just give me one moment. Stay where you are. Right, sorry about that. All right, you may proceed.
Thank you, Judge. Marisol, Ms. Morales, when we left off, we were discussing medical records that you reviewed from NICS. Can you tell me the date that Priscilla was admitted to NICS Hospital?
1/18/2019.
And do you know why she was admitted?
She was emergency detained for bizarre behavior.
And when was she discharged from NICS?
1/25/2019.
Did you also have an opportunity to review records from University Health System?
I did.
And are those records concerning medical treatment that Priscilla received during incarceration?
Yes.
Did these records show history of more than one incarceration?
Yes.
I want to focus on the arrest that occurred in 2019. What date was she arrested?
1/28/2019.
How long after being discharged from NICS for a psychotic episode was she arrested?
3 days later.
So would you say that she remained unstable upon release?
Yes.
Does this happen often in our mental health system?
Yes. We're discharged from NICS. Again, we have poor insight that they chose to discharge her after 7 days. She still had not stabilized. This was on the UHS records as well. Unfortunately, this happens time and time again. The patient's still not doing well, still symptomatic, and then they are discharged.
And from reviewing the records, Ms. Morales, did you learn anything about our client's baseline?
Yes, Methodist specialty where she had an especially long stay. The doctor stated that this was her baseline being that symptomatic. Again, this is when the initial discharge recommendation was to SASH.
And why is this significant?
It's just unfortunate that without the proper treatment, that this is her alleged baseline based on her records. She's continuously struggling, even in the inpatient facility, and then she's being released.
Ms. Morales, what else do you want the judge to know about Priscilla before she makes her decision on sentencing today?
As you stated, Judge, you're familiar with schizophrenia, and it was one of the hardest mental illnesses for someone to struggle with. Our county does very well as compared to other counties with their coordination of care. But as we can see, time and time again, failure after failure after failure. And this is a perfect example of somebody who needed longer hospitalization, and for whatever reason, she was being discharged back out and told, now go to your next appointment.
That's what, Ms. Judge.
Any questions?
Just a couple of questions. So you said that she, and it's in the medical records, that she was released from UHS on January 25th of 2019. Is that right?
Yeah, that she had gone to NICS, yes.
Or NICS, I'm sorry. And how long had she been there?
She had been there 7 days.
So are you aware that just a few days later, January 28th of 2019, she was arrested for committing aggravated assault with a deadly weapon?
Yes.
And so I guess my ultimate question is, you would agree with me that she is a dangerous individual, wouldn't you?
No.
So you don't agree, even though are you aware of the facts of this case today,
Yes.
why we're here?
Yes.
And you would not say that she is a dangerous, violent individual?
I would say that yes, her behavior, she does have an assaultive behavior history, yes.
And you would would you agree with me that she is a danger to herself and a danger to the community?
With the proper treatment, no.
No further questions.
Any other questions?
Ms. Morales, is this type of diagnosis manageable with medication?
Yes, and long-term hospitalization.
To get someone stable with this type of diagnosis, does that require long-term care?
Absolutely.
Does that require consistent care?
Yes.
Has Priscilla received that?
No.
I'll pass the witness, Judge.
No further questions.
All right, thank you so much for coming and thank you for working with those who have mental health issues. And I do understand that a lot of times people who have mental health issues, people just push them along through the system because their issues are too complicated. And the goal is, let's get them stabilized. Good luck to you. So I understand. Thank you so much.
Thank you for understanding, Judge.
All right.
Can I be excused?
Yes. Call your next witness.
Your Honor, at this time, I'd like to call my client. She has a letter that she'd like to read.
All right, if she plans on reading the letter, then she's going to potentially subject herself to cross-examination.
Can I have a minute with my client? please?
Yes.
Judge, my client has chosen not to read the letter.
Oh. Any other witnesses?
No, Your Honor, this argument.
All right, court will hear brief argument. State.
Judge. What Ms. Gonzalez did to Ms. Turner, to Frank Turner, to David Turner, is horrendous. I think Ms. Gonzalez is lucky to be standing here in front of you today with only this charge, with only aggravated assault, because what she did that day on July 19th, 2022 to Beth Turner was, I believe that her intent was to kill her. She was going to, she found an easy witness, an older witness, and I think she knew that this was a person who could not defend herself and who could not attack back, and she preyed on her. She made that decision to go in there and stab her numerous times. And then she had the gall to tell the police after she was stabbed by Dava, when Dava was protecting her aunt, her grandma, that the bitch stabbed me. I believe those were some of the words that she used. And I understand that Ms. Gonzalez has mental health problems, but I think what the court has to consider is the severe threat that she poses to not only this community, but herself. And I think someone like this, where she needs to spend some time is the prison. And she's been treated and she's had treatment in the past, and she continues to exhibit this type of behavior. And I think it speaks for itself when we look at the fact that she was released from Nick's hospital on January 25th, 2019. But a few days later, she commits an aggravated assault with a deadly weapon, separate from the case that we're here for today. I think she is violent, and she has shown this court that with the fact that these are the types of offenses she continues to commit.
All right, and counsel, what do you say to the fact that the state presented a witness, a mental health expert, that she was released and she was not, and she should not have been released from the mental health hospital? It was a situation, which I've seen before, where people have mental health issues, they get treatment and they just stabilize them and then release them without medication, without proper support, and just send them back into the world because not my problem. I want to move on to the next person and we're done. Woo. Thank you. We got her out of here. So what do you respond to the defense's witness? Because that's what the defense witness said. The defense witness said that she never should have been released from the hospital. And it appears that she was released from the hospital and then immediately went out and committed this act?
My response to that, Judge, is that now we have innocent victims here in the courtroom that are victims of her behavior.
But let me ask you this, how is this any different if somebody is at a hospital for, let's say, cancer or some type of physical illness, and they just get them stabilized and say, good luck to you because your problem is too complicated. We're going to stabilize you and then we're going to send you out into the world. Let's say somebody goes to a hospital and they are bleeding or they need a heart transplant. And they say, you know what? Your case is a little bit too complicated. I know you need this heart transplant immediately, or I know you need these stitches immediately, but you know what? We're going to give you a Band-Aid because great, we've stopped the bleeding. We know you're going to end up needing stitches, but we're not going to do that. We're going to send you back out into the world. Good luck to you. And they end up bleeding because they didn't get the stitches. The problem is people treat mental health differently from what they treat people who have cancer, who need a heart transplant. Basically, the evidence that I've heard from the defense's witness is she never should have been released from the hospital with her mental health issues. There's no doubt in my mind that she was going through an episode when this offense was committed. The only issue for the court to consider is whether or not she should be going to prison or whether or not she should be going to probation. So if you all want to address issues for closing arguments, it would seem where the address should be coming in from both parties would be, was she released from the hospital? Should she have been released from the hospital? Did they know releasing her from the hospital, she was going to have an episode? Did they know they were sending somebody out in this world with schizophrenia, with no medication to go forth on their own? And as I told both parties, I'm aware of mental health conditions. I'm aware of what happens with people who have schizophrenia and they not receive treatment. I'm aware of what people who don't receive treatment for bipolar. And I'm aware of the system where people are tired. People don't want to deal with anybody who is causing problems at the state hospital, wherever they be. And their thing is, let's med them up. Let's get them stabilized so we can push them on. I read all the documents. I read all the defense's documents. I read the PSI report. I read the stipulations. And the documents that's been provided to the court by the defense is they wanted to get rid of her because her problem was too complicated. And then I read the stipulations, the documents that were admitted without objections, where when she first came in to see them, she was accusing people of raping her, accusing people of beating her up, accusing people of stabbing her father, accusing people of out to get her, accusing the staff of rape. And they didn't quit on her. They just said, well, she's accusing staff person of rape. It's not true. What we're going to do is we're going to end up having more people in the room. So those are the issues that need to be addressed for the court to make a decision on whether or not I'm sending her to prison or sending her to some sort of inpatient treatment facility. So that's what I would like to hear in closing, because honestly, I already know. I know that she did a terrible thing to the complainant in this case. I know that this complainant was laying bleeding on the floor in the restroom. I know that she was here in San Antonio trying to enjoy her vacation, that she was on a bus. So if both parties can focus on why I should send her to prison or why I should give her probation. I already have read and I know that the complainant in this case could have died. I know that the complainant's relative came in and saved her life. I think that if the complainant's relative hadn't come in at that point in time, she would probably be dead. I know from witnesses' statements that the complainant's life is never going to be the same again. I know that she's not going to be able to do everything that she used to do. So if everybody would like to focus on that, that would help the court make a decision. And I have an open mind both ways. So I will hear argument.
I guess, Judge, it comes down to if she receives probation and she does some sort of outpatient treatment, she eventually will be back in the community. And I think it once again raises the danger level to the community.
So
because
you're
she-
saying it would be fine for her to be on probation if she's in inpatient treatment for the entire length of probation?
No, I'm saying if she's on probation, she will be out.
All right, so let's say she goes to prison. At some point in time, she's going to get out of prison because the state is not asking for a life sentence. She's not looking at a life sentence for this offense. So when she goes to prison, if I send her to prison and she gets out, then where are we?
Well, I mean, but Judge, I think the arguments to me made if she gets probation as well. Probation isn't something that lasts forever either. So either she's going to be on probation and be putting the community at risk because she's not in prison, or she's going to be in prison.
Well,
and
if
she can
she's on
receive
probation,
mental treatment while she's in prison.
if she's on probation and she's in a facility, because she can be on probation for 10 years, and if she's in a facility for 10 years receiving treatment, how's that any different than her going into prison? And what the state has offered her for a prison sentence, she will be eligible for parole in half the time. And if she's stabilized, she's probably going to be released in half the time. These are questions the court has.
What it comes down to for the state judge is just the level of violence that is this case. I think it's a person who deserves to go to prison and work on her mental health there. There's treatment that she can receive while she's in prison. It's not like we are sending her to prison and she won't receive any type of treatment while she's there. I think, but that gets her out of the community and off the street and prevents her from committing yet another aggravated assault. And I noticed in some of the records from UHS, it says the officer states that she's getting into arguments with other inmates for actions seeming manipulative and attributed to behavior. I think even while even if she were to be in some sort of inpatient treatment, she's putting others at that treatment facility in danger from her violent or aggressive behavior. And so a person like that who is even showing signs of aggression while being held in a hospital or inpatient type facility, the safest place for everyone is for her to be in prison.
So your answer then is let her cause trauma, and be violent at the prison with other inmates?
I believe prison and her receiving treatment in prison is more appropriate than her being on probation.
Can I proceed?
Yes.
Judge, I know you're aware of this, but I just want to emphasize universal underfunding. No consistent individualized care. Lack of beds available. Revolving door hospitalizations. Too few intermediate care programs. Judge, that's just a snapshot of some of the inadequacies of our mental health system. As my witness pointed out, we've come a long way, Judge, but my client is an example of what happens when we fail, Judge, and our mental health system failed her. I am in no way trying to minimize the pain that family went through. My heart goes out to them, Judge. But the reality of my client's life is one day she woke up and she heard voices. I know this court has gone over the PSI, Judge. She graduated from high school. She was in college for some time, Judge. She wanted to be a medical assistant. My client had dreams. And I do want to address, the state asked Ms. Morales if my client is a dangerous person. And that just goes to the stigma of mental health, Judge. My client is not a dangerous person. She is sick. She is symptomatic, but she can get better. She's never received a chance to get better, Judge. I'm not asking for her to go into the community. I'm not asking for you to put her on probation, release her tomorrow, put her on outpatient and send her on her way. We saw what happened, Judge. We saw what happened since back in 2015 when these hospitals did that. And not, these are medical professionals notating on the date of discharge that she's still psychotic, that they're still having to monitor her every 15 minutes. And then not only that, method of specialty, they explored the avenue of sending her to SASH. Why they didn't do it is absolutely beyond me, because maybe we wouldn't be here if my client was committed back then in a hospital, inpatient, receiving the care that she needs, Judge. That would have given her insight, because lack of insight, that's a symptom of schizophrenia. Schizophrenia, as you know, affects our brain and how we react. And with medication, it can be managed, Judge. You ask the state what's going to happen when she gets released. Judge, she's going to be worse. She's going to be worse, and it's going to lead right back here. If she's inpatient long enough, Judge, my client has the chance to lead a normal life. I wish that things were different, that maybe our office came in contact with her sooner, but Judge, we didn't, and we're here today. And my client is begging you for help.
All right. So with regards to this case, was there a request for a sanity evaluation? Was the sanity evaluation completed?
Yes, Your Honor.
And what was the result of the sanity evaluation?
She was deemed sane, Judge.
Okay. All right. Ms. Gonzalez, I do feel as though Bear County and society should apologize to you. And let me just tell you why. Because it's clear from the court that you should have been at a mental hospital, but somebody dropped the ball. Somebody just wanted to do triage and send you out into the world, knowing that you should not have been sent out in the world, that you probably should have still been at the mental hospital receiving treatment. And they should apologize to the complainant in this case as well, because who knows, maybe that would not have happened to her if you were where you were supposed to be. But at the same point, I'm looking at the photos. Have you seen the photos of the injuries? Counsel, do you want to show the photos to your client? And I wanted you to see those because I wanted you to know what, and I'm sorry, counsel, this is for you as well. I wanted you to see those because I wanted you to know everything that I'm looking at and everything that I'm considering. And I take all these cases very seriously. And people don't realize sometimes how hard my job is because everybody wants something. I know what the state wants. I know what your attorney wants. I know what the complainants want. And then I have to make a decision. And part of my decision making is protecting the community. I look at your criminal history, consider any other evidence that's presented to me to make a decision, right? Now, this case would be so easy if you were found insane at the time of the offense, because if you're found insane at the time of an offense, then that basically means you don't know right from wrong. And that means, and your attorney will tell you, that means that you're not responsible because basically you don't know right from wrong. You understand? But in this case, it's not a situation of you not knowing right from wrong. All right. And I do understand mental health issues. And as a defense attorney, I had so many clients who had mental health issues, and I had so many clients who ended up being under a doctor's care for the length of the offense that they were on. I had some clients who were found insane and they were charged with murder, but they were found insane, which would mean because the range of punishment for murder is up to life in prison, they would be under care for life. But I don't have that situation here. So I don't have somebody saying that you were insane at the time of the offense. And the reason why I'm taking my time, and I try to do this with everyone who's before me, so that they will know that I listened and I heard their witnesses and I heard what was given to me. Because I never want anyone to appear before me and they assume that I'm not listening to them. Because sometimes you may see me doing 3 things at one time and people like, oh, judge is not listening. But I do. I'm able to multitask. And so I have listened to everything. And it is a shame that you were not given the help that you needed at the time that you needed. And it was a shame that they released you. But with that being said, I don't feel comfortable granting your application for deferred adjudication. So I am going to find you guilty. According to the plea bargain agreement, it is a cap of 13 years. Does anyone wish to speak to the cap?
I do, Judge.
All right, state.
Judge, the state is fully aware of the plea bargain agreement. We made that agreement. We feel that the cap and you reaching the cap is appropriate, or that's not the offer that we would have made based on everything, based on the case itself, based on all the facts. That was the plea bargain agreement that we made and defense agreed to. And so for that, we're going to ask the court to use its judgment, but we are asking the court to considering everything to meet the cap.
And Judge, may I proceed, Judge?
Yes.
Judge, I'm asking you to take into consideration all of the documents that I provided to the court today, Judge. As you have recognized, my client has been sick for a very long time. And because of that, and those mitigating circumstances, Judge, I'm asking for the lower end of the punishment range, Judge.
All right. Ms. Gonzalez, what do you think you deserve? What do you think would be an appropriate sentence for you?
Some medical treatment at a hospital outpatient aid.
All right, so that ship has sailed. So you're going to be going to prison. So the state is asking for 13 years.
I mean, I want him to be getting some kind of treatment in here. If they have
Well,
treatment in here, I could take it in here.
Well, here's the thing. At the prison, they do have a mental health treatment facility there. And I'm going to put on the docket sheet that you receive and that you receive the mental health that they provide.
You know what, then maybe I should read my letter so you understand, because I don't think I deserve to go to treatment. Perhaps you need to listen to my letter. I don't think I deserve to go to treatment. Because this is what I have to say.
All right, well, just a second. This is what the court is going to do. The court is finding you guilty. The court is going to sentence you to 12 years in the prison, give you credit for any time served. There's restitution, if any, to Ruth Turner. There's to be no contact with Ruth Turner, Frank Turner, Dava Turner. I'm going to recommend that she be placed at the Texas Mental Health Unit at the prison. There's an affirmative finding of a deadly weapon.
Well, what I have to say is why I deserve mental health treatment here if they have it.
Okay.
Instead of going to prison. Since 2015, I was hearing voices and I've heard screams and I had saw flames, little images of flames, in my visions around the room in my house. And I told my parents about it and I cried because of these visions of people coming in my house. I told my mom about it and she took me to the hospital to get medical treatment. I went to several hospitals and was taking medicine for schizophrenia, seeing flames and hearing voices but I don't believe I was myself. I'm not a murderer. According to what the pictures I saw, the stab wound was on the right side. She doesn't have stab wounds on the right side of her neck. And I saw it. I stabbed her right here. She doesn't have that. And I don't
All right, so
believe I
Miss
was myself. I was
Miss Gonzalez. All right, let me explain something to you, okay? All right, so I understand what's going on in your life. And I understand that the state hospital and those people in the medical field for mental health dropped the ball. They didn't do right by you. That is why I'm giving you 12 years in prison as opposed to the 13. What I'm telling you is at the prison, I'm going to request that you be placed in the mental health unit. And Defense, I know you're aware that there's more than one mental health unit. So they'll evaluate her and see which mental health unit is appropriate for her stay. I'm going to show you what's entitled Trial Court Certification of Defendant's Rights to Appeal. Because this is a plea bargaining agreement, because I followed your plea bargaining agreement, and because you waived your right to appeal, you do not have the court's permission to appeal. And because this is a felony conviction, you're not allowed to own or possess any weapons or ammunition. If you have a question over what a weapon or ammunition is, you'll need to speak to an attorney. We can go off the record. Counsel, thank you for presenting that information to the court, and hopefully, the state hospital will do better. Thank you.
We do have victim impact statement.
She can't be here for the victim impact statement. So if they would like to give one, they can, but I don't think with regards to where she is, that would be conducive to an orderly court. But if they still wish to speak, they're more than welcome to speak, but I think it's best that she go back.
May I confer with them briefly, Judge?
Sure. Thank you. Could you give this to her?
Judge, but there will be no victim impact.
All right, thank you. Susan Robledo?
Maybe excuse Judge.
Yes.
Those are the, yes.
Thank God Carl Alexander got me on the list.
How are you, Judge?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
I'm good. Ms. Robledo had a psychological evaluation
Mhm.
on May 4th, and I'm just waiting for the results to come back.
Okay, so we don't have the results yet?
No, ma'am.
All right, Ms. Ferguson. On Susan Robledo, we do not have the results. So what date would you like to put it on? He said that the evaluation, she's already been evaluated. I guess we're just waiting on the report. And that was done in May.
May.
So do you want to put this, all right, we'll put it at the end of June.
Okay.
Well, when you say at the end of June, I will not be here at the end of June because I have to be with my mother. So do you want to put it,
Middle of June? Or you got all June, Jeff?
you want to put it the week before or either the week? Yes. All right, July 6th.
I'm just checking, Judge. It looks like it works.
All right, so we'll be back on July 6th.
Thank you, Judge.
You're welcome.
Fine.
Hi,
This is not on the docket yet.
thank you.
Appreciate it.
I do. No. Carlos Vasquez. Hi.
Those are hard ones, John.
Hmm.
Those are hard ones you just did.
Oh, they are.
That's why I don't envy your job at all. Having to do that more than once a week.
Yeah. All right, Mr. Vasquez, come up. No. All right, thank you. All right, the court is calling 2023 CR 3991 and 2023 CR 4128W, State of Texas versus Carlos Vasquez Jr. Can I have parties announced for the record for the state?
Travis Banks for the state of Texas.
Defense?
Michael Goins from Mr. Vasquez, Your Honor.
And are you Mr. Vasquez?
Yes, Your Honor.
Counsel, in each cause number, have you received all the discovery and reviewed that with your client?
I have, Your Honor.
Then in each cause number, the court will find that the state is in compliance with discovery. Just 1 second. All right, I'm missing a document. He applied for deferred adjudication in 2023 CR 3991.
Yes, and the W, Your Honor.
Here we are. Thank you, Norma. Oh, I have it. All right, Mr. Vasquez, in each cause number, I'm showing you what's entitled application for deferred adjudication or community supervision. Did you review that with your attorney?
Yes,
Did
Your
you
Honor.
understand it?
Yes, Your Honor.
And did you sign it?
Yes, Your Honor.
And cause number 2023 CR 4128W was showing you the document entitled Waiver of Indictment, Reading of Information, Rights under Article 1.051 and 26.03 of the Code of Criminal Procedure. Did you review that with your attorney? Did
Yes.
you understand it and did you sign it?
Yes, Your Honor.
Did you understand you have a right to have a grand jury hear the evidence in this case and make a decision on whether or not to indict?
Yes, Your Honor.
Did you understand that your attorney has certain rights? Namely, he has a right to review the information that's presented to him, and he has 2 days. And then he has 10 days to prepare for trial. Did you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
Did you understand by entering this plea bargain agreement, you were giving up those rights?
Yes, Your Honor.
And did you intend to give up those rights and enter into a plea in this case?
Your Honor.
Court will find that defendant has knowingly and voluntarily waived indictment, reading of information and rights under Article 1.051 and 26.03 of the Code of Criminal Procedure. In each cause number, I'm showing you what's entitled True Bill of Indictment and in information. Did you review those documents with your attorney? Did you understand them?
Yes, Your Honor.
Counsel, do you waive the reading of the information in the indictment?
Yes, Your Honor.
State, in each case, are you proceeding on the information in the indictment as presented?
Your Honor, the solicitation case, the state is proceeding as charged, but on the stalking case, the state is proceeding on the lesser included misdemeanor harassment charge.
Any objection?
No, Your Honor.
In each cause number, I'm showing you what's entitled Court Admonishments. Did you review those documents with your attorney? Did you understand them? Did you sign them in all the appropriate places?
Yes, Your Honor.
And cause number 2023 CR 3991, you're charged with the offense of solicitation of prostitution or other payer. And in cause number 2023 CR 4128W, you're charged with the lesser included offense of a harassment as a Class A misdemeanor. Respectfully, the range of punishment for those charges are anywhere from 180 days up to 2 years in the state jail facility and up to a $4,000 fine and a year in the Bexar County Jail. Did you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
If you have a plea bargain agreement with the state in either of those cases, the court does not have to follow your plea. If for any reason the court does not follow your plea and gives you more than you bargained for, the fact that you entered a plea will not be used against you and you will be allowed to withdraw your plea. Did you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
Did you understand in each of the cause numbers, you have a right to jury trial, a right for you or your attorney to cross-examine and confront any witnesses the state will call on the right to remain silent?
Yes, Your Honor.
Did you understand by entering the plea bargain agreements in these cases, you were giving up those rights?
Yes, Your Honor.
And did you intend to give up those rights and enter into a plea in each of these cause numbers?
Yes, Your Honor.
In each of the cause numbers, did you understand respectfully, if the court were to give you a deferred adjudication, you're looking at up to 1 year, up to 2 years in the state jail facility and a $10,000 fine, and up to 1 year in the Bexar County Jail and up to a $4,000 fine if you were revoked. Did you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
Counsel, in each of the cause numbers, has your client been able to provide you with any defenses?
He has, Your Honor.
Do you believe he has a rational as well as a factual understanding of the charges against him?
He does, Your Honor.
Do you believe he's currently competent and was legally sane at the time of the offense?
I believe he is, Your Honor.
Mr. Vasquez, in each of the cause numbers, has anyone threatened you, coerced you, or placed you in fear to get you to enter the plea?
No, Your Honor.
Anyone promised you anything other than the plea?
No, Your Honor.
Are you satisfied with the way you've been represented?
Yes, Your Honor.
Are you a U.S. citizen?
Yes, Your Honor.
In each of the cause numbers, the court will find that defendant has knowingly and voluntarily waived his right to jury trial. In each of the cause numbers, I'm showing you the plea bargain agreement. Did you review that with your attorney? Did you understand it?
Yes, Your Honor.
Respectively, the agreement is a $500 fine. State recommends deferred adjudication, the AIDS awareness course. And the other cause number, the state is asking for a $500 fine. They're recommending deferred adjudication. It's to run concurrent with your other case, and there's to be no contact with Madison Correa, Correa. Did you understand that to be the plea?
Yes, Your Honor.
Defense?
Yes, Your Honor.
State?
Yes, Your Honor.
In each of the cause numbers, I'm showing you what's entitled waiver of appeal paragraph. Did you review that paragraph with your attorney? Did you understand it? Did you sign it in both places?
Yes, Your Honor.
Did you understand by signing that you're waiving your right to appeal? The only items that can be appealed are written pretrial motions that have been filed, heard, and ruled upon by the court. Did you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
Counsel, have there been any such motions?
Your Honor, there was motions to dismiss, but both those have been waived with the indictments in this matter.
Okay. And then outside the plea bargain agreement and each cause number, the state is requesting that your supervision be for a term of 2 years. There be there's a no contact with Madison Correa in 2023 CR 3991 that's been listed outside the plea bargain agreement. But do you understand that the agreement that's been reached is that there be no contact and that the court, if I follow the agreement, I'm going to order no contact? Do you understand that?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. And there's a request for 60 hours of community service restitution. Did you understand those are recommendations from the state and the court does not have to follow those recommendations?
Yes, Your Honor.
Then to the offense as charged in 2023 CR 4128W harassment, how do you plead? Guilty, not guilty, or no contest?
No contact.
And in cause number 2023 CR 3991, how do you plead? Guilty, not guilty, or no contest? State any evidence to support the defendant's plea.
Yes, Your Honor. The state offers State's Exhibit 1 and its attachments on both cases.
Any
No
objection?
objections, Your Honor.
And each of the cause numbers, I'm showing you what's entitled waiver and consent to stipulation of testimony and stipulations. Did you review those documents with your attorney? Did you understand them? Did you sign them in all the appropriate places? Again, did you understand you have a right to jury trial, a right for you or your attorney to cross-examine and confront any witnesses? The state will call them the right to remain silent.
Yes, Your Honor.
Did you understand that today the state will be presenting evidence in the form of witnesses' statements and police reports, but most importantly, there will be no live testimony? Did you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. And each of the cause numbers, the court will find that defendant has knowingly and voluntarily waived and consented to stipulation of testimony and stipulations. Court will accept each into evidence and consider the same. State, before you're excused to confer, has the complainant been contacted and is complainant aware of this offer?
Yes. Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Thank you. You can be excused.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right. I will review the documents. Just give me a moment. All right, in each cause number, the court will find there's sufficient evidence to find you guilty. The court will defer finding of guilt as you've applied for deferred adjudication. Are we proceeding with sentencing?
Yes, Your Honor.
Anything you wish to say on behalf of your client?
Only, Your Honor, that he fully understands the ramifications of his actions and we request the court follow the sentencing recommendations by the state in this matter.
All right, are you employed?
Yes, ma'am.
What do you do?
So, towing.
Do you have any children?
No, ma'am.
All right. Do you understand that Miss Correa doesn't want anything to do with you?
Yes, ma'am.
When's the last time you tried to contact her?
I had no contact with her.
Do not contact her. Do you understand? Otherwise, a warrant's going to be issued for your arrest and you're looking at going to prison. You understand?
Yes, ma'am.
How old are you?
Yeah, 24.
All right, so you should know better. And the state wants AIDS awareness because of this offer of $20 to somebody for a blowjob. Do you understand how dangerous that is?
Yes, Your Honor.
They have something now out there in the world called super gonorrhea. There is no cure for it. You understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
And what I can tell you is persons who are selling their bodies on the street, nobody wants to do that. They're doing that. Either they've had some trauma in their past, or either they're being abused, either they're being forced to, or something that is happening. It happened in their past is causing them to do that, or maybe they're addicted to drugs. Do not try to build your happiness off somebody's misery. And the fact that you are offering such a peddly sum of $20, you should be ashamed. You understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you have any sisters or a mom?
I
Obviously, you have a mom.
Yeah. but
Do you
she's not
love
in
your
my-
mom?
She's never been in my life, so you know. I'm
Well,
not-
what's the female that's been in your life that you love other than this person that you're not going to have any more contact with?
my grandmother?
All right. So how would you feel if somebody was offering your grandmother $20 for a blowjob? See what I'm saying?
Yeah,
The
I see
fact
what you're
that
saying.
that means that you're trying to build your happiness off somebody's misery. Instead of offering them $20 for a blowjob, why don't you offer them something? Here's some money, go get food, get off the street. You understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, and cause number 2023 CR 4128. Court is going to follow your agreement. Sentence you to 2 years deferred adjudication. There's a $500 fine that will be probated. This will run concurrent with 2023 CR 3991. There's to be no contact with Madison, Korea. And when I say no contact, that means don't call your friend asking them to call her. No Facebook, no social media, nothing. You understand? It's like she does not exist for you.
Yeah, there's been no contact.
All right, proof of employment within 30 days. And while you were out committing this offense, trying to get somebody to do a blowjob for $20, I guarantee you somebody was waiting for their person to come tow them, and you're doing that instead of going to tow them. So proof of employment within 30 days, there's to be no employment as a home healthcare provider or with minors. There's to be regular reporting by Zoom or in person, regular UAs. I'm going to want field visits one time per month for 3 months. Probation, if there's no issue, then you all can do field visits as you see fit. Is there anything else he needs in that cause probation? Anything else you need from the court in that cause so that you can be successful?
No, Your Honor.
All right, in that cause number, I'm showing you what's entitled Trial Court Certification of Defendant's Rights to Appeal. Did you review that document with your attorney? Did you understand it and did you sign it?
Yes.
All right, and that cause number, because this is a plea bargain agreement, because I followed your plea bargain agreement, and because you waived your right to appeal, you do not have the court's permission to appeal. Do you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
And cause number 2023 CR 3991, the court is going to sentence you to 2 years deferred adjudication. There's a $500 fine that will be probated. Field visits one time per month for 3 months. Proof of employment within 30 days. There's to be no employment as a home healthcare provider or with minors. Regular UAs, regular reporting by Zoom or in person. 60 hours community service restitution, no contact with Madison, Korea. They're asking for AIDS awareness course, and I'm serious, you really need the awareness course on super gonorrhea because AIDS, they actually do have a treatment for you. But my understanding with super gonorrhea, it's all over. Like there's no penicillin or nothing to help you with that. So I don't think they have that. But is there an STD course other than just the AIDS awareness probation? All right, so he needs to do STD awareness course. All right, probation, is there anything else he needs? All right, in that cause number, is there anything else you need from the court to be successful?
No.
All right, I'm showing you what's entitled Trial Court Certification of Defendant's Rights to Appeal. Did you review that with your attorney? Did you understand it and did you sign it?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, because this is a plea bargain agreement, because I followed your plea bargain agreement, and because you waived your right to appeal, you do not have the court's permission to appeal. Okay? All right, we can go off the record. Mr. Vasquez, you love your grandmother. You need to make sure that you're doing things that would make her proud and that would not be an embarrassment to her or to you, okay? All right, good luck to you. And wait a minute, what is up with this SA tattoo? I'm asking you a question.
It's a tattoo, you know what I mean?
All right, probation, can you also add gang evaluation? Yes, please. Thank you.
You're on.
Yes,
On a different subject.
yes,
I got a point with the Guzman appeal.
yes,
Murder appeal. You might have come by and talk to you next week about it.
sure.
Just see what your thoughts are on it. I've already talked to Mr. Meyer in this case.
Okay, all right, no problem.
Thank you, Judge.
You're welcome.
May I be excused?
Yes. Hello, you have something for me?
Yes, Judge.
All right, thank you. Yes. Oh, no, I'm usually here till 5. We have jury trial that we're doing, so I'll be here.
Okay.
All right, you're welcome. Michael Lucio.
Yes, Your Honor. Good morning.
Good morning. It's always good to see you. Are you feeling better?
Your Honor, I apologize if there was a miscommunication. I wasn't not feeling better. I was out of town. We had a death in the family.
Oh, I'm so very sorry to hear that.
No, I appreciate your condolences, Judge. Thank you.
Okay.
It's always difficult when it's unexpected.
Yes, that is so true. All right, are you Mr. Michael Christopher Lucio?
Yes, ma'am.
Court is calling 2020 CR 10887, State of Texas versus Michael Christopher Lucio. Could I have parties announced for the record for the state?
Daniel Escobar for the state of Texas.
Defense?
Your Honor, good morning. Frankie Sandoval on behalf of Mr. Lucio.
Are you Mr. Lucio? All right, you're going to need to speak up so I can hear and the court reporter can hear. Showing you what's entitled Motion to Enter Adjudication of Guilt and Revoke Community Supervision and First Amendment Motion to Enter Adjudication of Guilt and Revoke Community Supervision. Did you review that document with your attorney? Did you understand it?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you the same Michael Christopher Lucio who was placed on deferred adjudication in 2022 CR 10887 for the offense of assault public servant bodily injury on January 13, 2023 for a period of 4 years? Is that you?
Yes, ma'am.
State?
Violated condition number 19 on or about the first day of February 2023 in Bexar County, Texas. The defendant, Michael Christopher Lucio, did then and there fail to complete the GPS program by cutting off his GPS ankle monitor in violation of condition number 19.
How do you plead to that? True or not true?
True. State waives all the violations.
Any objection?
No objection, Your Honor.
Did you understand by pleading true to violation of condition number 19, the court could find it true, grant the motion, find you guilty, sentence you up to 10 years in prison and up to a $10,000 fine?
Yes, ma'am.
Knowing that, do you still wish to plead true to violation of condition number 19?
Yes, ma'am.
Court will find violation of condition number 19 true. Is there an agreement?
Yes, Your Honor, it's an agreed revocation for 9 years to do in the Texas Department of Corrections. The state's also going to take into consideration night mag number 707192.
707192?
Yes, ma'am.
And did you say 9 years?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Is that the agreement, defense?
It is, Judge.
Mr. Lucio, are you asking the court to follow that agreement? Are you waiving your right to appeal?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Then the court will follow your agreement. The court will find you guilty, grant the motion, sentence you to 9 years in the prison, give you credit for any time served, and there's a $0 fine, taking in consideration NIMAG number 70192. Show you what's in.
7071.
Oh, I'm sorry. 707-192 is being taken in consideration. All right, and I'm going to show you what's entitled Trial Court Certification of Defendants' Rights to, oh, you'll have to walk around. That's it.
Stretch Armstrong.
Yes. I'm showing you what's entitled Trial Court Certification of Defendants' Rights to Appeal. Did you review that with your attorney? Did you understand it? And did you sign it? All right, because this is a plea bargain agreement, because I followed your plea bargain agreement, and because you waived your right to appeal, you do not have the court's permission to appeal. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Because this is a felony conviction, you're not allowed to own or possess any weapons or ammunition. If you have a question of what a weapon or ammunition is, you'll need to speak to an attorney. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, we can go off the record. How old are you?
17.
All right, you're 17. So you're off to a bad start in this life. Life is really so simple. If you follow the rules, that'll make it easy for you, right? So I know that going to prison is going to be difficult, but when you go to prison, try to figure out, one, who do you want to be in this world? And get your education, because you can get your education while you're in prison so that you can come out and do something different with your life. Because otherwise, what's going to end up happening is you're going to end in and out of prison or in and out of jail, and time is going to go by quickly. I'm sure your attorney can tell you, I know I can tell you, that once you reach 21, the years just roll by so quickly. You look up, 10 years have gone and you're like, where did the time go? All right. All right. Good luck to you. Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Larry Foster. All right, Mr. Foster.
How you doing, Judge?
Hello. How old are you?
I'll be 62 next week.
All right. Sometimes when people reach a certain age, they just want to do what they want to do. They think it's okay to, hey, let me just drink alcohol. I'm just at my house. But here's the thing. You're looking at 6 years in prison. I'm sorry, 3 years in prison. You're going to have to try, because we can only do so much. If you don't try, then that means that maybe you need to go to prison. Because if you go to prison, guess what? You're off my docket. I will hope that you will do well. I will hope that you will learn from being in prison, but I'll move on to the next case. So I'm getting reports that you're not doing well.
Can I speak?
Yes, please do.
I was, Your Honor. I think I told you about my living situation. I got
Yes.
out of that living situation.
Okay.
I just moved into a place where I'm in a much better place mentally and physically. I know I was messing up over at the other place. I'm not in that environment no more. I just started a new job. I really am going to try, Your Honor, from this moment forward right now.
Okay.
I don't want to go to jail. You know, if you looked at my record, you know I did 13 and a half years in prison.
Mhm.
I don't want to go back to jail for no reason. So I know I need to try better. And I think with me moving, I'm in a better place now. You know, I have no excuses.
Okay.
That's where I'm at with it. I know I messed up.
All right. Probation.
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes.
Oh, Your Honor, from the reports, from my understanding, he did recently move into a new place. He's doing better mentally. I did have a chance to talk to Mr. Foster briefly. And he says that, you know, at the time of the violations, there was some turmoil.
Mhm.
And he admitted, you know, he slipped up and he expressed his desire to do better and so forth. There is a top evaluation scheduled for August the 10th.
Mhm.
So we'll get those results fairly quickly. I do think that Mr. Foster would benefit from attending some AA meetings until at least until we get the top evaluation completed, to see what type of recommendation they have. I still, I don't have any notification that he's completed any of his DWI classes, and that might be because of his financial, and he just got a job and so forth, so that I would ask that we kind of put a time frame around that so that he can get that under his belt to help him continue with his sobriety.
Okay. All right. So what I want you to do, you're going to coordinate with probation when your pay period is,
Yes, ma'am.
so that you can start doing the DWI classes that you need to do. Now, sober meetings are free.
I do go to meetings, ma'am. I go to regular meetings.
How often do you go?
Before I moved out of that apartment, I had a guy that lived in the apartment complex over there. I would go to the Winners Club with him. Now that I'm out of there, I'm over in the medical center. It is a little bit more difficult for me to get around. No vehicle, no ride, but I've been doing my Zoom meetings at Crossroad with
All right. So I want you to,
Lifetime.
okay, so I want you to continue with that. And I want you to continue with the meetings that you're doing with Lifetime.
Yes, ma'am. I
But
do
when
those
you're,
every week.
all right, when you're doing that, you need to let probation know.
Yeah.
Because if probation doesn't know and you don't let them know, then it's not happening.
Right. She has my sheet. I'm supposed to see her today at 3:00. I got my sign-in sheet every time I go. She's supposed to get it today.
All right, you are looking healthier.
Thank you.
So now that you moved to this new place, make sure that you don't bring anyone around your new place that is not into sobriety and that is not a good person to be around. Because you don't need any influences to get you off track. You understand?
Sure.
Read a book. Michelle, I'm still 30 pages away. Oh, I thought I had lost that book. Oh, please don't let me lose it before I know what happens. All right, Mr. Foster, do better, okay?
Sure.
All right, good luck to you.
Thank you.
No, we'll just continue him. Make sure he just continues with the sober meetings that he's doing. Roberto Mendoza Perez. All right, today is his plea deadline date. So what's happening?
Judge, we've made a plea to defense. At this time, they're not wanting to take it. They have made a counter offer to the state, which I have not, I need to consider. I've not said that I'm accepting their counter. So at this time, I guess the only thing to do is to set up a trial.
All right, we're going to come back on May 18th. And May 18th will be your final day to let the court know whether or not you're accepting any type of plea bargain agreement from the state. After that, there is going to be a quick turnaround for a jury trial. Do you understand? All right, I'm going to give you this reset form. And it is the 11th. All right, if you'll have your client sign that and then bring it back to me, please.
Thank you.
Tyrone Shepherd. Oh, hi, it's Brenna. Hey, how's it going? Hello. Hey, come on up. Happy Mother's Day. Oh, I will. She'll appreciate it. All right. All right. So on Tyrone Shepherd, what's happening with this case?
Today, we're set for a discovery compliance hearing or setting. The state and I have discussed several pieces of discovery. One of those, they're working on getting to me. We have determined that they are not in possession of other records. I'm going to be subpoenaing the hospital, the private hospital, for those this afternoon. And I believe we had agreed to come back, or we were asking to come back in a week. I think there's a potential plea deal that might be reached here.
All right, so is May 25th enough time for everybody?
Yes, Judge, I mean, like defense counsel mentioned, I'm in the process of getting a hold of the victim again, and it just couldn't happen today.
No problem.
For possible plea negotiations also, so that's a possibility, and that's plenty of time.
All right, so I will have you all come back on May 25th. And once I give you the reset form, sign that. And so I'll set the May 25th date then as a plea deadline date.
Okay.
All right. All right, let me give this to you. All right, if you'll sign that and bring that back to me, please. Who's here on Sylvester Ortiz? Yes, thank you. All right, court is calling 2022 CR 3798, State of Texas versus Sylvester Maxwell Ortiz. Can I have parties announced for the record for the state?
Daniel Escobar for the state of Texas.
Defense.
Behrens for Mr. Ortiz.
Are you Sylvester Maxwell Ortiz?
Yes.
All right, I'm going to show you what's entitled motion to revoke community supervision. Did you review that document with your attorney? Did you understand it?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you the same Sylvester Ortiz who was placed on community supervision in 2022 CR 3798 for the offense of felon in possession of a firearm on August 15, 2022 for a term of 2 years? Is that you?
Yes, ma'am.
State?
Violated condition number 1, on or about the 5th day of April 2023 in Bexar County, Texas. The defendant, Sylvester Maxwell Ortiz, committed the offense of driving while intoxicated in violation of condition number 1.
How do you plead to that? True or not true?
True.
State waives all the violations, Judge.
Any objections?
No, Judge.
All right, did you understand by pleading a violation of condition number 1, the court could find it true, grant the motion, find you guilty and sentence you up to 2 years in prison?
Yes, ma'am.
Knowing that, do you still wish to plead true to violation of condition number 1?
Yes, ma'am.
Court will find violation of condition number 1 true. Is there an agreement?
Yes, Your Honor, it's alternate amendment for intensive outpatient treatment with a cognitive behavioral course.
I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
It's alternate amendment for an intensive outpatient treatment with a cognitive behavioral course.
Probation, what are you recommending?
Your Honor.
All right, defense, are you in agreement with that?
We are, Judge.
All right, then the court will find violation of condition number 1 true, deny the motion, alter amend conditions, and follow all recommendations from probation. Is there anything else from either side?
No, Judge.
All right, thank you. We're off the record. You're gonna have to do better.
Yes, I know.
All right, if you have an alcohol problem, you got to stop drinking. You're not allowed to drink while you're on probation. You understand?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, thank you.
The online notes.
Hi.
I didn't know if we were supposed to go or not. If we were gonna get a copy.
Oh, you should get a copy. Who was your client?
Mr. Sheff.
Oh, I thought you were taking your copy.
I could have, my fault.
No problem. You're welcome. All right. So Deputy Laura, since we're starting a jury trial at 1:30, everybody else is going to have to come back on Monday.
Your Honor.
Yes.
We have a plea on the murder laws.
Okay,
And.
okay, well, let's do the plea. All right, thank you. Okay, sure.
Judge,
Yes,
just for the court's education, I have Mr. Sean Branch here. Today is his plea deadline.
Yes.
Going to accept the plea.
all right, then we'll take that up.
Monday?
No, we'll take it up today.
Okay.
All right. Hmm. Okay, who is that? I'm sorry, which page is that on? I'm sorry. Because I'm trying to find it. All right, so what's the name? You know, I think I may have just 1 second. I am still trying to find that on my sheet. Jan Carlos? Ah, okay, I see it now. All right, so they're gonna come back on Monday. Patrick Vargas. What page is Mr. Vargas on? Okay, yes, that'll come back on Monday. Could I see those files? Yes, thank you. It's 2020 CR 1788. And then I'll review the search warrant.
Thank you, Judge.
Oh, you're welcome. Bye-bye. You guys are done? You came in, made it happen. But you're just finished for today. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought we were going on.
We can do that.
That's what. Sure.
Yeah, he does.
All right, could I see the officer, please? The officer who has the search warrant. Yes. Oh, no problem. Oh, that's okay. Oh, you can come around.
They were in the middle of trial and listening for a little.
Yeah. Do you solemnly? Yes. No, no problem. I mean, if you want to correct that, you can. I'm here all day and I've already read it. Because it's probably always best to have it without the typos. If you want to take it back to Judge Mary, you can. He's here. It may be best to take it back to him. Yes, unless you want to redo the entire thing and bring it back to me. Removing the typos. All right. You're welcome. Sure. You're welcome. Yes.
Garcia Celestino. It looks like 11:44. Oh. Oh, you're gonna. Yeah, let me, oh.
All right, then, Sean, the only person we didn't have Zoom in was April Gonzalez. No. Yes. Yes. Does she have any proof of this? Yeah, no, we'll just go ahead and do that. Vargas and Torres, yes, I've already completed them. All right, thank you. All right, who are the parties on Celestina Garcia? All right, court is calling 2023 CR 2522, State of Texas versus Celestino Garcia. Could I have parties announced for the record, for the state?
Brittany Mitchell for the state.
Defense?
Robert Ramirez for Mr. Garcia, Your Honor.
Are you Mr. Garcia?
Yes, ma'am.
Counsel, have you received all the discovery and did you review it with your client?
I did.
Court will find that the state is in compliance with discovery. Showing you what's entitled application for deferred adjudication or community supervision. Did you review that with your attorney? Did you understand it and did you sign it?
Yes, ma'am.
Next, I'm going to show you what's entitled true bill of indictment. Did you review that with your attorney? Did you understand it?
Yes, ma'am.
Counsel, do you waive the reading of the indictment?
We do.
State, are you proceeding on the indictment as presented? State?
Your Honor,
Let me
yes,
check.
yeah.
Okay.
Yes, we are.
All right. I know this is not your division.
Just stepped in.
Yes. No, I appreciate you for stepping in, but it does appear that you're proceeding on the indictment as presented. Mr. Garcia, I'm showing you what's entitled court admonishments. Did you review that document with your attorney? Did you understand it? Did you sign it in all, I'll go around. Did you sign it in all the appropriate places?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you understand you're charged with unauthorized use of a vehicle? That's a state jail felony. The range of punishment is anywhere from 180 days up to 2 years in the state jail facility and up to a $10,000 fine. Did you understand? If you have a plea bargain agreement with the state, the court does not have to follow your plea. If for any reason the court doesn't follow your plea and gives you more than you bargained for, the fact that you entered a plea will not be used against you and you will be allowed to withdraw your plea. Did you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you understand you have a right to jury trial, a right for you or your attorney to cross-examine and confront any witnesses the state would call in the right to remain silent? Did you understand by entering this plea bargain agreement, you were giving up those rights? And did you intend to give up those rights and enter into a plea in this case?
Yes, ma'am. Yeah.
Did you understand the court were to grant your application for deferred adjudication? If for any reason your deferred adjudication were revoked, the court could find you guilty, sentence you up to 2 years in the state jail facility and up to $10,000 fine?
Yes.
Counsel, has your client been able to provide you with any defenses?
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you believe he has a rational as well as a factual understanding of the charges against him?
I do.
Do you believe he's currently competent and was legally sane at the time of the offense?
I do.
Mr. Garcia, has anyone threatened you, coerced you, or placed you in fear to get you to enter this plea?
No, ma'am.
Anyone promised you anything other than the plea?
No, ma'am.
Satisfied with the way you've been represented?
Yes.
Are you a U.S. citizen?
Yes.
Court will find that defendant has knowingly and voluntarily waived his right to jury trial. Showing you the plea bargain page. Did you review that with your attorney? Did you understand it? According to the plea, there's a $1,000 fine and the state recommends deferred adjudication. Did you understand that to be the plea?
Yes, ma'am.
Defense?
Yes, Your Honor.
State?
Yes.
Showing you the paragraph entitled waiver of appeal paragraph. Did you review that with your attorney? Did you understand it? Did you sign it in both places?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you understand by signing that you're waiving your right to appeal? The only items that can be appealed are written pretrial motions that have been filed, heard, and ruled upon by the court. Did you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Counsel, are there any such motions?
No, Your Honor.
Next, I'm showing you outside the plea. State is requesting that your community supervision be for a term of 3 years. There be a TAP evaluation and community service hours. Did you understand those are recommendations from the state and the court does not have to follow those recommendations? Then to the offenses charged, how do you plead? Guilty, not guilty, or no contest?
Guilty.
State any evidence?
Senator, we offer state's exhibit number 1 and all attachments.
Any objection?
No objection, Your Honor.
All right, state, you may be excused to confer. Showing you what's entitled waiver and consent to stipulation of testimony and stipulations. Did you review that with your attorney? Did you understand it? Did you sign it in all the appropriate places?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, state, you can be excused to confer.
Thank you.
Again, did you understand you have a right to jury trial, a right for you or your attorney to cross-examine and confront any witnesses the state would call in the right to remain silent? Did you understand that today the state will be presenting evidence in the form of witnesses' statements and police reports, but most importantly, there will be no live testimony? Did you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Court will find that defendant has knowingly and voluntarily waived and consented to stipulation of testimony and stipulations. Court will accept into evidence states exhibits 1 and attachments and review the same. After reviewing states exhibits 1 and attachments, the court will find there is sufficient evidence to find you guilty. The court will defer finding of guilt as you applied for deferred adjudication. Are you proceeding with sentencing?
Yes, Your Honor.
Anything you wish to say on behalf of your client?
Yes, Your Honor. We ask that the court follow the plea agreement.
Are you employed?
No, ma'am, I'm in the ministry.
So how are you making money?
Most likely they're probably gonna send me to a work release program.
I'm sorry, what?
Most likely they're probably gonna send me to a work release program.
All right, when you say you're in the ministry, what do you mean?
I'm in Victory Gospel Chapel. So, ministry is like, maybe like 30-day programs, maybe longer, depending on, how long do I want to be there, how long do I want to stay, and
All right,
after like 3 months, there's a work release program, that you can get into after like, what I'm saying, if she sees that she's in progress, then there's a work release program that I can get into.
So they're providing shelter and
Yes,
food
ma'am.
for you? All right, because I'm aware of Victory Gospel Outreach. Okay. All right, do you have any children?
No, ma'am.
So when's the last time you used any controlled substances?
Been about 3 months.
3 months, okay. And what was your drug of choice?
At that time, methamphetamine,
And if you're drug tested today, what are the results going to be?
clean.
All right, this is what the court is going to do. It's $1,000 fine. That will be probated. Do you have any children?
No, ma'am.
Any relationships?
Yes, I do have a wife.
Does she have any children?
No, ma'am.
All right, $1,000 fine probated, 3 years deferred adjudication. Proof of employment within 3 months. There's to be no employment as a home health care provider with minors. Defendant is to continue residence at Victory Outreach.
No, Victory Gospel Chapel.
I'm sorry, Victory Gospel Chapel.
It's right there off of Commerce on the east side.
All right. Regular reporting by Zoom or in person. Regular UAs. I'm going to want a TAP evaluation. If the TAP evaluation recommends inpatient treatment, we'll start with intensive outpatient treatment. If they recommend outpatient treatment, we're going to start with intensive outpatient treatment. And I'm going to want field visits 1 time per month after he's released from Victory Gospel Chapel. And you're going to sign a release to give probation information on the services that you're obtaining from there. Do you understand? So probation, I'm going to want them to at least go out to Victory Gospel Chapel at least once to make sure that he's there so that they can change information with the parties there to make sure that he remains. And there is going to be 100 hours of community service restitution. Probation, is there anything else he needs?
No, Your Honor.
Is there anything else you need from the court?
No, ma'am.
Showing you what's entitled trial court certification of defendant's rights to appeal. Did you review that with your attorney? Did you understand it? And did you sign it?
Yes, ma'am.
Because it's a plea bargain agreement, because I followed your plea bargain agreement, and because you waive your right to appeal, you do not have the court's permission to appeal. Do you understand?
No.
All right, we can go off the record. Here's what I've discovered sometimes. I hope you will not be that person. People are at a facility, they're doing the program, but then when they get back into the real world, they go back to the same places, people and things. You can't do that. Otherwise, you're going to end up using. You understand? All right, good luck to you. You're welcome. Thank you. Anyone else ready? All right, thank you. I'm sorry. Yes. Oh, sure. Come forward. Hello. And let me see, maybe my phone has too much right now. Oh, it is. That's what I love about the fast charging. I don't know. I have no idea. Okay, who keeps having that phone on? Because I have that same ringtone. That's the factory ringtone for alarms.
It was my alarm, like in the morning for the longest time. So whenever I hear it, I go like,
Yeah.
negative association. Jay has informed me that he is in the 144
Who is Jay?
Norton. For
Oh.
the plea.
Yes. So why isn't he here?
Being held in the 144.
Who's the judge in the 144?
Judge Mary. I can go down there.
All right, yes. And please let Judge Mary know it's,
Murder plea.
yes. Okay, thank you. All right, the parties on Sean Branch. Court is calling 2022 CR 6211, State of Texas versus Sean Branch. Could I have parties announced for the record for the state? Defense,
Robert Ferens.
are you Mr. Branch?
Yes, ma'am.
Counsel, have you received all the discovery and did you review it with your client?
Yes, Judge.
Court will find that the state is in compliance with discovery. Mr. Branch, I'm showing you what's entitled Application for Deferred Adjudication or Community Supervision. Did you review that with your attorney? Did you understand it?
Yes, ma'am.
And did you sign it?
Yes, ma'am.
Next, I'm showing you what's entitled True Bill of Indictment. Did you review that with your attorney? Did you understand it?
Yes, ma'am.
Counsel, do you waive the reading of the indictment?
I do, Judge.
State, are you proceeding on the indictment as presented?
We're proceeding on the lesser included charge in count one of
Right.
count one of aggravated sexual assault of a child.
Any objection?
No, Judge.
Waive all of their constraint.
Any objection?
No objections.
All right, Mr. Branch, I'm showing you what's entitled Court Admonishments. Did you review that with your attorney? Did you understand it? Did you sign it in all the appropriate places?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, did you understand the state is proceeding on the less included offense of aggravated sexual assault of a child? That's a first degree felony. The range of punishment is anywhere from 5 to 99 years or life in prison and up to a $10,000 fine.
Yes, ma'am.
If you have a plea bargain agreement with the state, the court does not have to follow your plea. If for any reason the court doesn't follow your plea and gives you more than you bargained for, the fact that you entered a plea will not be used against you and you will be allowed to withdraw your plea. Did you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you understand you have a right to jury trial, a right for you or your attorney to cross-examine and confront any witnesses the state would call on the right to remain silent?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you understand by entering this plea bargain agreement, you were giving up those rights?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you intend to give up those rights and enter into a plea in this case?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you understand if the court were to grant your application for deferred adjudication, if for any reason your deferred adjudication were revoked, the court could find you guilty, sentence you up to life in prison and up to a $10,000 fine?
Yes, ma'am.
Counsel, has your client been able to provide you with any defenses?
He's been able to assist in his defense. I believe he's got a rational and factual understanding of the proceedings and the charges against him, and that he's competent to enter his plea.
All right. Do you believe he was sane at the time of the offense?
I do.
All right, Mr. Branch, has anyone threatened you, coerced you, or placed you in fear to get you to enter this plea?
No, ma'am.
Has anyone promised you anything other than the plea?
No, ma'am.
Are you satisfied with the way you've been represented?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you a U.S. citizen?
Yes, ma'am.
Court will find that defendant has knowingly and voluntarily waived his right to jury trial. Showing you the plea bargain page, did you review that with your attorney? Did you understand it?
Yes, ma'am.
According to the plea bargain agreement, the state is proceeding on the lesser included offense of aggravated sexual assault of a child. They're asking that your punishment be assessed at a cap of 20 years in the prison. They're opposing your application, and there's to be no contact with the complainant in Chapter 62 registration. Did you understand that to be the plea?
Yes, ma'am.
Defense?
Yes, Judge.
State?
Yes, Your Honor.
Showing you the paragraph entitled waiver of appeal paragraph. Did you review that paragraph with your attorney? Did you understand it? And did you sign it in both places?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you understand by signing that you're waiving your right to appeal? The only items that can be appealed are written pretrial motions that have been filed, heard, and ruled upon by the court. Did you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Counsel, are there any such motions?
There have not.
Then to the lesser included offense of aggravated sexual assault of a child, how do you plead? Guilty, not guilty, or no contest?
Guilty.
State any evidence to support the defendant's guilty plea?
State offers State's Exhibit 1 and all attachments.
There's no objection.
Showing you what's entitled wavering consent to stipulation of testimony and stipulations. Did you review that document with your attorney? Did you understand it? Did you sign it in all the appropriate places?
Yes, ma'am.
Again, did you understand you have a right to jury trial, a right for you or your attorney to cross-examine and confront any witnesses the state would call and the right to remain silent?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you understand that today the state will be presenting evidence in the form of witnesses' statements and police reports, but most importantly, there'll be no live testimony. Did you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Court will find that defendant has knowingly and voluntarily waived and consented to stipulation of testimony and stipulations. Court will accept into evidence State's Exhibits 1 and attachments and review the same. State, you can continue to confer.
Thank you, Your Honor.
You're welcome. All right, after reviewing State's Exhibits 1 and attachments, the court will find there is sufficient evidence to find you guilty. The court will defer finding of guilt as you've applied for deferred adjudication. We will come back for sentencing. Let me see. We'll come back on July 15th. And probation,
July 15th, so.
I'm sorry, not July 15th, June 15th.
Okay.
Thank you. We're going to come back on June 15th, and I just need the PSI. All right, on June 15th at 9 a.m., I'll make a decision on your application based upon the PSI report and any other evidence that's presented to me.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, so we'll see you on the 15th.
Yeah.
All right, and so the last one we have is Skirvin.
Yes, Your Honor, I believe defense counsel is working on the paperwork.
Okay.
Your Honor, there was a or a motion to recuse filed yesterday on a defendant who's in custody.
Yes, and so those have to be set for hearings.
Okay, because he's at like 50 days in custody.
Okay.
On a night guard.
All right, just make sure Ms. Ferguson knows, but I've already signed saying set for hearing.
Oh, okay.
Sure. Yes. All right, thank you. You're welcome.
everything to everyone. But like, my mom and I was texting me. I don't know how they married happily. So, I was like, oh, gosh, I'm not. No, I hope. Unless the judge says.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, you all can come up. Court is calling 2022 CR 8635, State of Texas versus Bondale Skirvin. Could I have parties announced for the record for the state,
Brittany Mitchell for the state.
for the defense?
Jay Norton for Mr. Sterling.
Are you Mr. Skirvin?
Yes, ma'am.
Counsel, have you received all the discovery in this case and did you review it with your client?
Yes, ma'am.
Court will find that the state is in compliance with discovery. Thank you. Going to show you what's entitled True Bill of Indictment. Did you review that with your attorney? Did you understand it?
Yes, ma'am.
Counsel, do you waive the reading of the indictment?
I do, Your Honor.
State, are you proceeding on the indictment as presented?
Your Honor, we are proceeding on count 1, paragraph A.
Any objection?
No, ma'am.
Showing you what's entitled Court Admonishments and Defendants Waivers and Affidavit of Admonitions. Did you review that with your attorney? Did you understand it? Did you sign it in all the appropriate places?
Yes, ma'am.
You understand you're charged with the offense of murder. That's a first-degree felony. The range of punishment is anywhere from 5 to 99 years up to life in prison and up to a $10,000 fine. Did you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
If you have a plea bargain agreement with the state, the court does not have to follow your plea. You want to go around?
Thank you.
If for any reason the court doesn't follow your plea and gives you more than you bargained for, the fact that you entered a plea will not be used against you and you will be allowed to withdraw your plea. Did you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you understand you have a right to jury trial, a right for you or your attorney to cross-examine and confront any witnesses the state would call and the right to remain silent?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you understand by entering this plea bargain agreement, you were giving up those rights?
Yes, ma'am.
And did you intend to give up those rights and enter into a plea in this case?
Yes, ma'am.
Counsel, has your client been able to provide you with any defenses?
He has, Your Honor.
Do you believe he has a rational as well as a factual understanding of the charges against him?
He does, in my opinion.
Do you believe he's currently competent, was legally sane at the time of the offense?
Yes, ma'am.
Mrs. Skirvin, has anyone threatened you, coerced you, or placed you in fear to get you to enter this plea?
No, ma'am.
Has anyone promised you anything other than the plea?
No, ma'am.
Are you satisfied with the way you've been represented?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you a U.S. citizen?
Yes, ma'am.
Court will find that defendant has knowingly and voluntarily waived his right to jury trial. Showing you the plea bargain page. Did you review that with your attorney? Did you understand it?
Yes, ma'am.
According to the plea, the state is proceeding on count 1, paragraph A. Punishment is to be assessed at 35 years in the prison. There's an affirmative finding of a deadly weapon and there are no applications. Did you understand that to be the plea?
Yes, ma'am.
Defense?
Yes, ma'am.
State?
Yes.
Showing you the paragraph entitled Waiver of Appeal paragraph. Did you review that with your attorney? Did you understand it? Did you sign it in both places?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you understand by signing that you're waiving your right to appeal? The only items that can be appealed are written pretrial motions that have been filed, heard, and ruled upon by the court. Did you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Counsel, have there been any such motions?
No, ma'am.
Then to count 1, paragraph A, how do you plead? Guilty, not guilty, or no contest?
No contest.
State any evidence?
Your Honor, we have to state exhibit number 1 in all attachments.
Any objections?
No, Your Honor, Mr. Scriven and I have gone over those documents together.
All right, I'm showing you what's entitled Waiver and Consent to Stipulation of Testimony and Stipulations. Did you review that with your attorney? Did you understand it? Did you sign it in all the appropriate places?
Yes, ma'am.
Again, did you understand you have a right to jury trial, a right for you or your attorney to cross-examine and confront any witnesses the state will call and the right to remain silent?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you understand that today the state will be presenting evidence in the form of witnesses' statements and police reports, but most importantly, there will be no live testimony? Did you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Court will find that defendant has knowingly and voluntarily waived and consented to stipulation of testimony and stipulations. Court will accept into evidence states exhibits 1 and attachments and review the same. After reviewing states exhibits 1 and attachments, the court will find there is sufficient evidence to find you guilty, and the court will find you guilty. Are we proceeding with sentencing?
Yes, ma'am.
Anything you wish to say on behalf of your client?
Judge, Mr. Skirvin is just remorseful. He's never been in trouble before and he understands it's a significant sentence and he just asked the court to follow the plea agreement.
All right, the court will follow the agreement, sentence you to 35 years in prison. There's an affirmative finding of deadly weapon. The court will give you credit for any time served. Showing you what's entitled trial court certification of defendant's rights to appeal. Did you review that with your attorney? Did you understand it and did you sign it?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, because this is a plea bargain agreement, because I followed your plea bargain agreement, and because you waived your right to appeal, you do not have the court's permission to appeal. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Because this is a felony conviction, you're not allowed to own or possess any weapons or ammunition. If you have a question over what a weapon or ammunition is, you'll need to speak to an attorney. Do you understand? All right, is there any victim impact?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right,
We have, obviously, there's a lot of family and friends here. There are 3 that would really wish to address the comment.
all right. So we're going to go off the record. Mr. Skirvin? In this courtroom, I require that everyone treats everyone with respect. So family members of the complainant has something they want to say to you. So just internalize it. They are going to be respectful. All right, who wishes to speak? Okay. All right, if he wishes to, he can stay there. That will make it easier for the deputies.
I'm his older brother. To me, you a coward. 35 years ain't no time. You know what I'm saying? I respect this courtroom, so I don't feel like you remorseful. I feel like, what you doing is fucked up. See my language.
All right, so everyone, here's the thing. Here's the thing, everyone. I understand that tempers are high. And they're always high in these cases in felony court. But I understand that they're even higher when it involves a murder case. And I understand that someone has lost a loved one. I do understand, but we are not going to use profanity in this court. If we do, what will end up happening is there will not be a victim impact statement. So when people start using profanity in court, start swaying back and forth the way you're swaying back and forth, that puts deputies on high alert, and that makes the court not safe the way it should be. All right, so this is what I would like you to do for me. Have a seat and speak from a seated position. That will make it easier for everyone. And if you want to, you can sit on this side so that he'll be able to see you, because I know there's equipment in the way. And that just makes it easier for everyone. All right, you may proceed.
You take my brother's life. He got kids. You ain't thinking about none of that. You know what I'm saying? Y'all would never know how it feels to lose a loved one because you're a coward. I'm from the streets. I know what it is. So, but I'll never respect that because you did it in a cowardly way. You know what I'm saying? You take my brother's life for what? For nothing. For nothing. Because you was a coward, because you couldn't face that. My brother was a good man, good father. Worked real hard. Took care of his kids. I just came home from doing 11 years. And I didn't even get to see my brother. You know what I'm saying? So, if you feel like that 35 is justified, none of us feel that way. But that ain't for me to judge, it's God. So, with that said, I hope when you sit in there, you really realize the life that you're taking, it ain't gonna never just be what it is. You can't get that back. His kids can't see him. He can't see his kids graduate. What my mother go through every day. My dad, the rest of my family, those that can't be here and speak. Words can't even too much explain how we really feel. But you're gonna always be a coward in my eyes. Always. And I'm just gonna leave it at that. Because I'm gonna let my words be few.
All right, thank you. Who's the next person?
So I'm just gonna speak on behalf of this man. You took his father for my daughter. Okay. Unfortunately, I'm not there to say this in person, but I know the sentence you were given to spend put away is nothing compared to the literal death sentence you gave my dad. You're a complete coward, and I hope you live the rest of your life in shame and guilt. I walk the stage to graduate in 3 weeks, and I won't have my dad in the stands watching me because of you. You're a monster, and I promise to make sure everyone, including those you love, will see it. You get the freedom of getting visits from your kids, while me and my siblings get the pain of visiting a cemetery. When you do get those visits from your kids, I hope all they see is a criminal, a monster, and a disgusting human. One day, these same words will come to you again, but from my mouth, and I'll look at you in your face as your life goes downhill the way you looked at my dad and took his life. I promise you won't live to see a normal life again as long as I'm around. I'll make sure your face is engraved in people's heads so when they see you, they will see a murderer. My dad taught me and my siblings to be strong physically and mentally, so I assure you that I will get justice for my dad one way or another. This isn't the end, so remember, please, with these words with every day that passes.
Okay. Is there anyone else?
Final one.
Your Honor, I'd ask if I could use the mic. You have nothing to worry about me.
Okay.
Christian
Oh,
man.
no, I understand.
Microphone or amplifier. You referenced the book twice, reading books twice. I'm reading a book right now, and it has everything to do with the impact of words. And if this is victim impact, I want to use clarity.
Oh, well, I can tell you that I'm the furthest person away from everybody and I can hear you. All right. But thank you for that. I appreciate that.
I didn't write anything down. On Dale Skirvin. I'm trying to speak on behalf of Mark, Brenda, April, Crystal, Matthew, Elijah, Daniel, Sabrina, Brianna. These are most of his siblings. I'm sure I forgot somebody. Also on behalf of Dominique, Zanaya, and Joshua Jr. These are his kids. That's a direct impact. I'm just a brother-in-law. I'm just a brother-in-law. When I have to hear his mother, Antonia, say that you get to still see your family. Coming up on Mother's Day. My fear was that you were gonna ask for time for that. I thought that would have been very unsuitable. Because none of who I just mentioned will ever get to see him again. And you didn't take a thug or a gangster away. You took a good man. To be a Christian man. My wife said, April, she said, make sure he knows that on behalf of her and everybody that agrees with her, that they forgive you. Because it's just in the Bible, I know I do too. I have to. I implore you to read the book of Job. The book of Job is a complicated book. It's one of the hardest to read because it's a man that followed God with everything that's going to learn now, but it's so hard. Look at you because can't help but think on November 21st, when I'm talking to the doctor outside of 309, the room he died in. And I asked him how many gunshots did he receive? And the doctor said, we can't even tell. And you as a human being get to stand there and even honestly, do you perceive what you did that in front of your kids? I gotta forgive you because I can only hope that your kids do the same for you. I thought I was gonna be cool when I came up here and I forgive you. I forgive you and I hope God does the same. But just know I named those names, and that's just the beginning of it, because you took the life of the party. You took a human being that was anything but nothing before being the best father that I know. And I'm a great father. And you did that in front of your own kids. I don't know what was going through your head when that happened. That's for you and God. I actually came up here on behalf of my wife. I didn't realize I could say so much, but wanted you to know on her behalf, forgive and God forgives you.